that the guys were having, and Nick was explaining how he's been getting bored of food. So he saw this YouTube video where this guy was making like food from back in the days, in the early American times, and one of them was like just grilling up an onion. And for some reason, the grilling part, the cooking onion part, was lost in translation, and people just started eating onions. And so there was a stream where like 5 or 6 of us just ate onions like apples. And it sucks, dude. The taste of onion stains your mouth for 3 days. Everything feels like your tongue's been burned. So, and it's also because onions increase testosterone. But,
all right, I'm back.
Sounds like
chat,
you need to eat
are
more
we low
onions because
latency
you got
yet?
a bitch mouth.
Really?
You're not getting enough onions in your diet, bro.
I just I need to shoot myself to build up the bullet tolerance. The same principle applies. If I step on small fires for long enough, eventually I'll be able to step on big fires, and then I can just stand in fire at the end of the day.
Exactly. That stands to reason. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Those protesters that light themselves on fire, they don't die.
No,
obviously they don't die.
They practiced it.
They've
They're
been
trained
training.
professionals.
They're trained. You get it.
They touch matches for like 3 years, and then they're like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good." It's gonna sting a little bit, but my fire resistance is already. Dude, I wish life worked like a fucking RPG. Holy shit.
Dude, my stream deck is all set up for Twitch, and I realized that like all of my buttons are useless.
Bruh, yeah.
Sorry.
I need one of those. I need one of the little keypads, like switching scenes. I'm like a hacker in a video game.
Dude, it's so much easier. Like you just hit a button.
Yeah, real and true. Real and true.
They're not that expensive.
Hey, when's Destiny getting here? When's Destiny
He's
Hitler
running.
Vanilla the second getting
He's
here?
running 30 minutes late.
Okay.
He was with his parents
and was
He's
like,
gotta
"I
be
gotta
the
go eat
diva.
dinner." He was like, "I gotta go eat dinner with my parents."
Okay.
And people were like, "Yo, is this even happening?" And I'm like, "Yo, if this isn't happening, I'm not fucking going to YouTube." Right? Like fucking like my whole audience is on fucking
It's
Twitch.
happening.
Nah, you gotta get
It's happening.
you gotta get the Band-Aid ripped off before too long.
That's true.
Like,
That's true. Because I mean, like, let's be honest, right? Like, if you're not like extremely progressive, eventually you're gonna reach an audience size large enough to like piss off a journalist, and then you're gone, right? Like you're gone from Twitch.
Well, I mean,
So,
that's
I mean,
how it
like-
works on YouTube too. Like the second that you, like you can get away with a lot of shit, but the second you make problems for the website via like an article or something like that, that's when they start fucking with you.
Yeah, I mean that's presumably what I figured. Like, you know, so like I've been putting VODs on YouTube, right? And I have a couple of YouTube videos that are like, you know, just kind of side project type stuff. Occasionally I'll put out a YouTube video. And then I've been telling everyone like, go follow us on Rumble, right? Because I want to have my stuff stored at least in one version of alt tech. And it is impossible. It is impossible to get Twitch people to just like click 2 buttons to leave Twitch for just a second and follow you. It's like, dude, you don't even have to like watch
so
any of the
cozy.
content there.
They're
You gotta do it like on a daily basis. You gotta do it on a daily basis.
Yeah, the struggle is real. The struggle is real to get people to go to Rumble.
Yeah.
Odyssey is a really good website too for just having your stuff on other sites simply because it automatically uploads back onto.
So like people give me
from
crap
YouTube.
for not having my stuff on Odyssey, and I'm like, look, I can put stuff on Odyssey, right? But like, what is that accomplishing if I just put videos up there and then I ignore the community? Because like at the end of the day, like I only have so many hours in a day to like engage with like a specific platform in a community and like build stuff there. So it's like, I just don't really see the point when people are like, oh, everything's on BitChute and on Rumble and on Odyssey. And it's like, dude, just fucking pick one.
Well,
so
Odyssey
you have a place where your videos are
good
stored.
for its like automatic upload, so you don't have to like fuck with anything.
Rumble does the same thing. All you gotta do is click a button like every now and then to like, because it like stores it for you just to make sure that like you don't, that like it releases when you want to release it.
That's kind of how YouTube is though. Like I stream all the stuff to YouTube and then I just like set the video to private after it streams, and I can like edit out copyrighted music or whatever. But it's really easy actually. And as long as I don't, you know, severely break TOS, you can just re-upload them. And
I mean,
that's
I just use Pretzel Rocks. Like we just got a premium membership, so everything is like DMCA safe. And like I like if I put up like a 3-hour stream, there might be like one thing that they give us like a content thing on, but it's so much less of a hassle in terms of DMCA to just have music running in the background that like you don't have to worry about.
So true. Literally the case.
So
Oh man.
So since we're waiting, I guess the first topic can be, do you guys think that Destiny's a terrorist for killing Hassan's dog?
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
what?
didn't that happen on the r/place thing?
Yeah.
On r/place, he like.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Hold on. Pause real quick.
He's so cool.
So I'm 31, right? And I feel like that's all you need to know why I don't give a fuck about this conversation.
Yeah. You just care about like economics and like trigonometry.
Dude, fuck trigonometry. Yo, trigonometry was the worst.
What do you care about? What are you most passionate about, Fabian Scott?
From a political perspective or in my life?
Both.
In my life, my children, hands down.
Based. Good answer. Good answer.
From a political perspective, I would say anti-war and education. Fighting for school vouchers, school choice, fighting to get people out of public education system and getting additional homeschooling. And I have no problem using the state government to move in that direction, such as like saying, look, if you're homeschooling your kids, then you should get $1,000 a month because the state is paying $11,000 to $13,000 a month. I'm sorry, a year for your children to be in school. So why are homeschool parents being like not getting the same benefits that people that go to public education? Those would be my two biggest things.
So true. And then, this is like, it parallels to something I bring up when I talk about UBI a lot, like looking at ways that we can value, the role of women in the house. Because the problem is we kind of rigged this against traditional society from the start. And of course, this is just my worldview, but women who stay at home.
Keep going, Nick Fuentes. You're good.
Women who stay at home have absolutely no worth to like the rest of the economy, right? Like they don't get paid, they have no input that they can provide monetarily. Sure, they can like homeschool kids or they provide some value to the household, but that can't be like actualized in terms of be like spending power, purchasing power. And I think if we reorganize society in such a way that that is actually valued, and I think the UBI does that in some way because women are now making money.
There's a funny little trick when people talk about. I don't. To me personally, like I'm like the most hardcore libertarian ever. So like the Christian conservative like view. I'm an anarchist. I'm an ANCAP. I'm a right wing anarchist. But anyways,
yeah.
I don't care if it's a woman or a guy at the house. Me personally, I don't give a fuck. But the thing is that when one parent is at the house, right, and let's say they're working. Pick however long you want them to work, right? They obviously are probably not working a full-time job if they're also educating the children and homeschooling. And so let's say the average is 15 hours, right? Because most will choose not to work at all and some will work part-time jobs. Well, the thing is that when you take that much of the labor market out of the labor market, what you've done is you've reduced the supply of labor, right? To the economy. And so if there's a reduction in the supply of labor, it means there's less of a workforce available to work at companies. So if companies want to hire people, they have to be more competitive in their benefits, in their pricing, and everything. So the funny thing is that if you were to take, quote, women out of the workforce, right, which what you would do is you would increase everyone that is still working. You would increase their wages significantly. You would increase their benefits. And so the actual reduction of household income would be less drastic than people actually think it is. I mean,
True.
I mean, the only way that you could change that system, right, is if you had enough of a flood of immigration to compensate for the people leaving the workforce.
Yeah.
And then, you get to where we are now, which is that we flood the workforce with immigration. And because there's always people who will take a job for cheaper, for the most part, bar some of the sectors of the economy that immigrants typically don't enter, or the majority of immigrants don't enter, then you're going to have, replaceable people. And then those people can't really fight for higher wages by bargaining with employers. And they have to resort to things like a federal $15 minimum wage or anything like that, when that isn't really the way it should be done.
That's my position.
I'm with you. But in order to abolish the minimum wage, we have to stop immigration because we need to put the bargaining power back in the hands of the employee, of the worker.
No. See, you could do the exact opposite. The problem is that, like Milton Friedman said, right? You can either have welfare state or you can have open borders, but you can't have both, right? So if you got rid of the welfare state, there would be no problem with leaving the floodgates open from an economics perspective. I'm not going to talk about culture, not talking about voting, just isolating just economics right now, right?
Okay.
Just economic perspective. The fact of the matter is with minimum wage and with welfare the way it is, if you bring in a bunch of immigration, right, what they're doing is they're competing against Americans for jobs.
Yes.
But if you got rid of welfare and you got rid of minimum wage, what you would have is you would have factories near the southern border that would love to take advantage of workers that want to work for $4 or $5 an hour. And they would create manufacturing jobs near the southern border to take advantage of a southern population coming from South America that wants to immigrate into America. And the thing is that even though those are what you might consider American jobs, there's still high skill, high wage labor jobs that are created there. Because if you build a factory,
are they high skill?
Well, no. So not the factory like line worker, but the engineer, the construction jobs that need to be utilized to build it, the project manager.
Jobs are high skill.
Well, some of them are.
Yeah,
if you're doubting it that much, you've never been on a fucking construction site.
Right? I haven't been on a construction site.
Right, I'm just saying there's a lot of easy to do jobs there, and there's a lot of jobs that obviously require a lot of skill.
Okay, but which do you think there's a higher amount of? The easy jobs that just require manual labor, or the ones that are going to require engineering and the brains behind it?
Absolutely, low skill, low wage labor. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot more of those jobs, right? So a lot of the times people will say things that are technically correct, which is like, yeah, you're going to have more high-skilled jobs, but it's like, yeah, but to how many people? And then the question is, if you've created that society at the southern border where, say a lot of the immigrants are doing these jobs for like $4 or $5 an hour, and then like the more traditional American stock are doing the jobs that are more high skill and more high wage, you're having those people live in what is basically just like, I don't know, it's like a Section 8 city pretty much, and they're just there because the wages are high. But then the question is, who would want to live there? Who would want to live there though? Exactly, because there's no welfare state there. So if they don't have the ability to at least have one of their, so if you've got a husband and a wife, right, and let's say the husband has high skill, or let's say it's the wife. The wife speaks fluent English. I prefer the husband, but
no, I know. I'm going to flip it on
the
side.
This might be a good thing for us to discuss. That's first.
Why we're discussing it.
Yeah, your first.
We're just waiting on Destiny to write down for your next stream.
Hear me out. So let's say the wife, right, is like a former. I'm going to use the most evil high skill thing I can imagine for you right now. She's a banker. She's a former news journalist in politics, and is fluent in English and in Spanish, right? Perfectly fluent. And the husband, low skill, low wage, right? They move across the border. Now, individually, the woman can probably find a decent job in America and immigrate financially somewhat successfully on her own, right? But the husband would not be able to do that. So if the husband moves by himself to work in that factory, eventually without welfare, unless he's able to gain skills and able to learn English quickly and able to like learn some type of trade, he's not going to be able to survive in America any better than he did in whatever South American country he was from. But married to the woman, that might be different. And so what I'm saying is that when you get rid of the social safety net, the economic conditions of the ground balance themselves out, because you can't have economic migration if you don't have the social safety net that incentivizes economic migration. At that point, they're just moving for better jobs. And if the better jobs are there and the standard of living is there, then fuck them, let them live there.
Okay, if it's not better, I disagree kind of with the last bit about then just let them live there if the better jobs are there. I mean, we could, in this hypothetical scenario, totally take out the welfare state, and people would still be undermining the bargaining power of the American worker by coming from a place where the standard of living is worse, right? So the social safety net in Mexico probably isn't very expansive, and if they come to the United States, they're probably doing it to get a job for however much money more than they're getting in Mexico. I don't think they're coming solely because of the safety safety net. And then, then we get to this reality where, sure, Mexican immigrants don't have the safety net, which I think is, a good thing. If we took away the safety net, I'm sure some immigration would decrease because many immigrants, I forget the percentage, but many immigrants use the social safety net and don't contribute a net benefit to the economy. If you take away the social safety net,
depends on how you measure it, but yeah.
Yeah, you're still going to have those immigrants doing those $4 or $5 jobs, and they're going to be happy doing that because that's a lot more than they got paid back in Mexico. So the American worker still loses out.
How does the American worker lose out in the situation that you just
Because
described?
he doesn't want to get $4 or $5 an hour because he's used to getting a lot better. Okay, well, so here's the thing.
Right, but see, here's the thing.
No. You've created a problem, and then you've said that the American workers should just get over it, right? So
no, I didn't create any problem. What problem did I create?
Okay, so an American worker is working a job down at the border. Immigrants flood the border, and then they start doing that job for a lot cheaper. And now you're telling the American to either do the job for as cheap as the immigrant or to get over it.
No. I didn't say that what I'm talking about, right, is that the destruction of the minimum wage and the social safety net would bring jobs in manufacturing from third world countries and developing nations back to America, because we would have the ability to use the same low skill, low wage labor that they're using in other nations.
Oh, so for example, yeah. For example, we're basically going to create Indonesia and Taiwan just at the southern border.
But when
that's kind of based.
But when you have a market between all of these things, right? Everybody's winning in this scenario. Everybody's winning.
Except for Texas, but they want us to see it anyway, right? So
right, you know what I mean? So fuck them.
I don't know about that. I love Texas, but
no, the idea is that you have a lot of manufacturing that's been shipped over to really problematic places, right? Look at Taiwan. There's a lot of stuff happening in Taiwan, and what do you have? So many places have their foundries set in Taiwan, and that the moment the political situation changes against that favor and Beijing decides to go into Taiwan, say goodbye to AMD. AMD's gone, right? You only have Intel at this point because at least they have foundries in America, Germany, and Israel, but they don't have, and they have something in Taiwan. But the fact of the matter is AMD completely is dependent upon Taiwan, the Taiwanese economy, in order to meaningfully compete with Intel. Right. This is just one of a massive amount of examples of manufacturing bases that are set in Malaysia, Indonesia, India, Bangladesh, different places in China, etc. But why do they go there? Well, the reason they go there is that the American worker is too valuable, because the skills of the American worker and the productivity that the American worker has is more than that of Asia. But they don't need that level of skill or productivity that they need, that is required to do these simple tasks. There's a reason that China doesn't build, that they don't build or design chips like they do in Germany. They just assemble them. It's grunt work that any dumbass could do. And the reason they can't do that in America is because of the tax structure and because of the minimum wage. But if we didn't have that same tax structure, that social safety net and minimum wage, we could pay South Americans that want to come to America $3 and $4 an hour to do those same jobs. And when that factory gets built, that means engineers' jobs get created in America. That means there's janitorial jobs that might be $8 or $9 an hour. There's the mechanics jobs, right? There's the HR representative that's probably some SJW to make sure that people aren't saying racist things against Hispanics or whatever. But regardless, there are high skill, high wage labor jobs that we have shipped overseas because the preponderance of those jobs are low skill, low wage. And this is actually a net benefit for the American people.
I'll say something to that in just a second. I think Flamenco was going to jump in. I also need to read some super chats. So
yeah, I'll shut up. We're just hanging out and chit chat.
I'm just dealing with a shit ton of spam bots right now.
Uh-oh.
Yo.
Good. Yeah. So we're it's kind of more like a casual but blood sportsy kind of thing. So yeah, this is definitely great start, guys. So. You're getting spam botted, Flamenco?
Yeah, I've got some guy named Upchucks that really wants people to subscribe to him. Has made 60 accounts to spam it in my chat, so I had to turn on a 2-hour subscriber only mode.
Oh no. My chat is telling me that because of an ANCAP that I should let Kai know that I want to repeal the Civil Rights Act. What do you think, Stardust? While he's muted, while he's deafened.
Yeah, that would be a good meme. I think you should do it.
He's like completely unaware of what's occurring right now. It's beautiful.
Yeah, he has no idea. I
Oh
figured.
my god.
I figured it.
My pretzel rocks won't stop playing Christian music. It's really weird.
How
Out
fitting.
of nowhere today. Out of nowhere today, it's just like my brother in Christ. The music is with you.
Is anybody talking?
Oh yeah. So my chat wants me to tell you that because I'm an ANCAP, that I also want to repeal the Civil Rights Act, and then we'll just
put it right there.
we'll just be friends. And we'll
Let's
just immediately be friends.
I just won't ask you about like social issues. We'll just talk about stuff that we kind of agree on, right? So
yeah, of course.
That's
In the middle of a debate where we're talking about religion and birth rates, we won't talk about social issues.
No, yeah. That's. I'm interested. Well, what kind of ANCAP are you? Are you like more Hoppian, or where do you put yourself? Because Hoppians are pretty cool. I get along with those guys better than the rest of the libertarian crowd.
Okay, so I'm an ANCAP, right? So to say
Obama.
or Mises would be a horrible sin. It just depends on the issue. Sometimes I'm Hoppian, sometimes I'm Rothbardian.
What's are you Hoppian
like,
on gay marriage?
What is Hoppa's stance on gay marriage? I don't actually know that one.
Probably what is it? Forced removal? What did he call that idea?
Oh my god, I would need chat, help me out. Which of you knows what Hoppa's stance is on gay marriage? I'll tell you my actual stance as opposed to what Hoppa is. The government has no fucking business being involved about about gay marriage. They have no business being involved in marriage in general. There should be no tax incentive or structure or government involvement in marriage. The entire fucking problem was created because the government created the institution of marriage as being married to the state in terms of taxation, and then they force themselves to legitimize gay marriage as an institution, because to not do so would be to violate the civil rights of the LGBT community. If they never would have been involved in the first place, they could have kept everyone could have kept whatever ideas they have about marriage together. Churches could have kept on marrying only single people, and your utilitarian, church down the street that has like a BLM flag, and like mostly what they do is protest.
I think Satan is supposed to be there instead of fucking.
Well, I'm not a big Christian, but whatever fucking, you know what I mean? Like talking about the fucking the Christianity as it ties to Beyonce or whatever dumb shit. They could have kept marrying gay people and everyone would have been fucking happy and living their own goddamn lives. But instead, the government had to say, oh, gay people, if you're married, you still have to testify in court against your spouse. You're not allowed to see them in the hospitals. You don't get the tax break. And like those privileges that they granted from a government perspective is what caused the entire political fiasco to begin with, so that we could all argue about wedge issues and not talk about like some of the really serious shit. Like, I don't know, our government bombing people randomly all the fucking time, or like corporations.
The ATF shooting 60,000 dogs a year. I know.
Right, you know what I'm saying?
I used to be a libertarian. I know these statistics, but I think.
Used to. How old are you?
I'm 19 now. So when I was like 15, 16,
shut the fuck
I was
up.
a libertarian. I was a minarchist.
The fuck up. I used to be a socialist when I was 15 or 16. Like, all right. we were all dummies at that age.
Yeah, no, I certainly was a dummy for being a minarchist. I certainly was a dummy.
You're right. You should have just followed your thoughts to conclusion, and you'd be an ANCAP.
I don't know. Hoppian's probably the only thing I should have been. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
I feel like if you were a full-blown Hoppian with like your current cultural values, like you'd be wearing a crown being like, bring back the monarchy. I'm good.
What is it? Monarchy, aristocracy, democracy. What's the book?
Democracy, the God That Failed.
Yeah, but then he has another one, right, where it's like monarchy.
Dude, he wrote a bunch of shit. And like some of them are books, but really they're long articles.
Yeah. Yeah, from aristocracy to monarchy to democracy is what he said. Yeah, but anyways, see,
So we were correct. Poll chat. We did a chat poll in our tiny little community of people that decided to come over from Twitch for our first YouTube live stream, and we were indeed correct that Destiny would be more than a half hour late.
based. Yeah, if I was a betting man, I think I'd
I mean,
wager quite a bit.
he's running his way over here. He's got those tiny little legs. It's gonna take a little bit.
It's the Hispanic in him, you know.
Dude,
I want to do
I want to do a 1v1 with Destiny just because I feel like our height difference would make so many memes in and of itself.
Well, how tall is Destiny and how tall are you? I'm guessing you're 6'2".
6'5".
Damn.
And Destiny's like what?
You're
like
first on the
5'7" or
chopping
something?
block, dude. How tall's your wife?
My wife? I don't have a wife. Not anymore.
Oh, okay, wait. So are you saying that you are homosexual or that you got divorced?
Really? You really?
Just
Well,
wondering.
he said he had
I got
kids,
divorced.
so I'm guessing divorced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know who else said they had kids? Jangles. And Jangles happens to fall in
Wait,
the
did Jingles really
former-
say he had kids?
or that he's getting them. I don't know. I think he's
No.
doing the rent-a-womb
No,
thing
no,
or something.
I haven't rent a-
You have biological kids. Your kids are
Bio-
your own. I get.
I have
Yeah.
I have a biological son and a biological daughter. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's honestly like the best combo. Is your son older?
Yes.
Okay, see, this is literally how it's meant to go. Unless, you know, you should honestly have more than 2 children, in my opinion, for like birth rates and whatnot.
Shh. Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. We have a whole debate topic.
But hey, anyway, I think
do
it's
have
good.
a
You
whole
got to have
debate
the older
topic.
son. You got to have the older son and the younger daughter, so that if you,
You know,
do have daughters, if you're
unless
punished
you're-
with daughter.
Unless you're really in support of like CRISPR and shit, I don't
No,
think you really
CRISPR's
get that
evil.
much. I
I
don't think
hate
you get that
CRISPR.
much of a choice. I
I
think you
hate
just
CRISPR.
it just happens. bro.
Actually, no, that's not true. That's not true.
You just keep on
there
trying.
There are methods that will ensure that
Oh my
you
God.
have boys.
That is not true.
I have
That's not
researched.
true.
No, I've researched this. You need to
I'm
to have
doubting
sex.
all of your research
No.
methods
You
at
have
this
to
point.
have sex in order in colder climates.
No,
in colder
research
climates
is,
because male
research is
sperm
not
survives
supposed to be
more.
done with one hand on the keyboard.
Hello?
Oh yeah. But hey, anyway, there are methods.
Where's our
There are
fifth?
methods.
Hello?
Did someone drop out?
Apparently,
No,
Destiny's
Destiny
here.
dropped in.
No,
But he's
wasn't there
not
supposed to
saying
be
anything.
There was-
PPP 777?
Yeah, that he
May or may
said
not
we
be
talked
fine.
earlier in the week, and he said he might be able to pop on, but I haven't heard from him since. So
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
be awesome if PPP were here. That would make me so happy.
Is that a little bit of sarcasm? I
That's
hear?
a lot of sarcasm. That would I would probably lose it.
hello.
PPP has a big
Hello.
chip on his shoulder with like most of the cozy people.
We're doing this.
Yeah. Well, he was messaging me like he was down for it and stuff, but you know, I'm very like you guys know
Probably couldn't walk over to the keyboard.
I was
Hey.
messaging people very insistently. Are you still good? Are you
Pause.
still good for this?
Pause. Is Mr. Girl going to be on this panel?
Mr. Girl's
Yes.
already on this panel.
All right, cool. Well, you guys have a good one. I'm out. I'm not going to support this sick piece of shit, and I'll never do an interview and I'll never do a panel with them.
It would
you got to
actually
let
be
me know who's
it would
actually.
it would actually be me supporting you, you little
Yeah,
bitch.
got it. All right, y'all have a good
oh.
one. Yeah.
Wait,
Well, I
is
don't
this
even know
wait,
who-
hold
wait,
on.
me
Wait,
if
is this
you need
really
me.
happening?
Wait,
yeah,
who
no.
are you?
Fuck Mr. Girl. Peace out.
Can I ask who you?
Why
No,
would he actually
that
laugh?
was
What
like-
the fuck?
Hold
that
on,
was
wait,
like
is
the
that
old
guy-
interesting person? Oh, it's so.
Is that guy? Isn't he a libertarian? I thought this
Yeah.
was like.
Yeah, no, I was
Yeah.
gonna say. I thought he was about to say like, "Mr. Girl's here, dap me up, bro." I
Oh
was like,
no!
Jesus
oh
Christ!
man. Well,
Wow. So
Hey.
Stardust. So you think the N word is okay, but not Mr. Girl?
wait,
Wait,
hold
you
on,
think-
wait.
You think
wait a
Mr. Girl's
minute,
okay, but
wait a
not the
minute,
N word?
what?
Wait, you think Lolly's okay, but not the N word?
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, what?
What is this panel about?
I'm gonna
This
sit back.
panel
I'm gonna
is
kick my feet
about-
up real fast.
This panel is about. I'm so sad that he left.
This panel's been renamed to the Mr. Girl Flamenco Discourse.
Oh God, dude, please.
Oh, no.
Okay. This panel. The first question. If people are going, are you gonna jump on camera as well, Mr. Girl, or are you just?
Oh shit, my camera's off.
Yeah.
Wait, why did?
Wait, who just
Why did
who
he
just
leave?
left?
Because he doesn't support.
I thought he was
Mr.
doing a bit there for a second, but he actually left.
That's
No, he's not doing a bit. Sometimes people freak out.
Okay.
just
well,
very funny to me. I'm sorry.
Well, okay. Well, question number 1, guys. If you're all actually, you know what? Before we do anything,
Wait,
let's go
who
around,
was that?
introduce ourselves. That was Fabian Liberty. He's a
Who the
ANCAP.
fuck is that?
He's like the panel. He's like a staunch libertarian, I think.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think unironic ANCAP, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Ironic
an
ANCAP.
actual, like the free market and liberty will solve every single problem.
I thought Liberty was like his middle name, but it's actually like a libertarian thing.
Yeah, I call him FabianLiberty as a joke. Nobody gets it. But anyways, let's go around, introduce ourselves. Okay, Destiny, why don't you go first?
Hi, I'm Destiny. I'm a soc dem, and I do politics sometimes.
Flamenco.
I just do VTuber drama sometimes and try not to be the focus of it. Not been doing the best job of it the last couple of days, so you know, I don't know. Hopefully we can go through this without that happening tonight. Yeah, who knows?
Oh, buddy.
Okay. Kai.
Oh, buddy.
Hey, I'm a conservative, and before you guys say you sound like Nick Fuentes, I've heard it before, and I honestly appreciate it. He's a friend of mine, but you know, I think Patrick Bateman is a more appropriate comparison.
How much do I have to super chat you to do the whole opening monologue from?
Well, you'd be an
Psycho?
idiot. You'd be an idiot if you did, because I've already done it. But so let me set it to what's the dono right now? I think you'd have to donate $4,998 or
MrGirl, why don't you
$4,798.
introduce
Not that
yourself?
flush.
Hey, I'm MrGirl. When I show up to panels, I'm like a pH test. And if you freak out and leave, well, you might need to reevaluate your grit, your strength. That's it.
Okay, I'm Stardust. I'm just the host. I guess we'll just get right into it. Topic number 1 is democracy doing its job and fairly representing what the people want in their regime. What would you change? Kai looks like he wants to go first.
No, I'm just smiling at like I totally didn't expect this to all go down this way, and it's
I did not expect it either.
very entertaining start. Yeah, I don't think so. I kind of err, and I've been recently thinking about this. The whole idea of democracy is something that's been kind of hotly debated throughout all of history, and being in college is something that has given me a weird perspective, because every single political science class I'm in, all they talk about is how we can further democracy and what will lead to more democratic representation and this, and that. And I kind of have I think it was Socrates who expressed his concern with democracy, which is basically like, I don't know about all these like plebeians or these stupid people voting. I, of course, have to grapple with the fact that I'd probably be getting rid of a lot of Republican voters, but I also adhere to like the bell curve of, you know, practical intelligence, as John Doyle would put it, which is the stupid people and the very smart people coming together against the people in the middle, which are like the liberals. I think the big threat is that democracy can be totally overwhelmed if you just import a bunch of people who think pretty differently, and this is, of course, the immigration aspect of it. You can pretty distinctly change what a country believes without actually polling the people who have historically represented that country, and I don't know if that's very fair. So that's kind of my basic take on it.
Okay.
I think democracy is based. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of voter participation, so the voter composition of this country does not always resemble the actual population makeup of the country. I think that arguments about historical people is incredibly fucking cringe. If they're dead, I don't really care what they think. Nobody has a right to like permanently section off a land and expect that the people there won't change, whether we're talking about the ideas of the people there or the actual types of people there. People are going to move all around the United States. People are going to move all around the world. As long as we all agree on what our immigration policy should look like. If some people move here, it's your job to demonstrate why your platform is best for everybody instead of just a select few in the country. And if you do want to just cater to a select few in the country, you shouldn't be surprised when your platform is not that popular. Yeah.
All right.
I guess largely I am kind of okay with democracy in terms of an ideal, but in practice, I think it might lead to some pretty not great outcomes. I think like one of the biggest examples I would say is like the broad bipartisan support for the Patriot Act, which like is probably one of the most universally reviled pieces of legislation nowadays to like most common voters, but it still gets passed regardless. And back when it was passed, it was like unanimously supported because, of course, who wouldn't be against something called the Patriot Act? I think that in general, democracy sort of selects towards things that might appeal to people's like lowest common denominator, whether that be like imagined threats or whether that be, you know, an appeal to like, you'll get this if you vote for this person, and whatever candidate guarantees that they're going to give this, even if they do or don't actually end up delivering, is going to get the vote.
MrGirl.
I would say that the fact that there's a chunk of people in the country who do not believe that Joe Biden is the democratically elected president would suggest that whatever democracy is supposed to do, it is not doing. But I don't think I don't think it's fair to frame that as democracy is not doing its job. I think that one thing I heard a lot before the election is that public faith in democracy is necessary for democracy to work. That if people are drawn into conspiracy theories saying that their votes don't count, then at some point that starts to become true. And I also think that there's this irony or meta-irony that's become very popular in political discourse that undermines faith in publicly held elections. And so I think democracy itself is good. And I think that we have an obligation to uphold it by finding a balance between, yes, we don't want people lying or cheating in elections, but if you're lying about that for money and trying to get people to like you or be more popular by undermining faith in public elections, you are undermining and attacking democracy. And even though it's cool or funny to do so, I think it's irresponsible. I guess that's my current stance.
Okay.
Can I jump into it? I have questions.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, sweet. So, Destiny, there's something that I've been wondering about for a while. You've kind of this, from what I understand, a blanket approach of everybody should vote. I don't recall whether I've heard you advocate for this. Do you believe in like mandatory voting? I think you've like alluded or thought about it before on a stream.
I go back and forth on it. I'm like 51-49 in favor of it, but I could be convinced against it. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so what do you think is the advantage of like everybody voting? Like, what do you think advantages that?
It's annoying to me right now that people think that our political system is super corrupt and that it's representing corporate interest, when the reality is we're selecting for a certain percentage of voters, or a certain type of voter is voting. And that's why we see expressed in the government the things that are. So if everybody was forced to vote, then at the very least we could stop using that shitty fucking excuse for why things aren't getting done the way we want them to, and we can actually start blaming voters and holding voters responsible instead of just saying that like it's shady corporations and the deep state ruining everything.
Okay, I generally agree more with the reasoning, but I think it's also stupid to be like, yeah, you know, once we get everybody to vote and like we've got people who don't care about it whatsoever voting, then we can, you know, blame them for it. When I think that really the better alternative is to make it more difficult to vote. And I'll add a caveat here. What we want is to make voting accessible, but at the same time difficult, so that the people who want to vote and the ones who are willing to take the time to do it because they really truly feel that they have a voice in their country are going to go out of their way to do so. I think, you know, if you were to tell me, and we saw this with like the past legislation that Democrats have been trying to push, that, you know, we need, you know, 24-hour voting, or we need people who can, you know, do drive-through or drive-in voting, I find it a little bit silly to say that the people who we should care most about representing are the people who wouldn't vote in our elections if we didn't allow them to do it in a drive-through. Why are these the people who we should be really concerned with representing or voting people in?
I think the
to
issue
me, it's
is
always been
fundamentally.
Yeah, go ahead.
People view democratic participation incorrectly. I would argue that you have the incorrect view. People seem to think that in the United States of America, you have options for how you want to engage with society, but that's not true. You have a forced engagement with society. Whether you like it or not, you are intersecting with other people in a plethora of ways. Whether you're talking about employer-employee relationships, whether you're talking about a direct engagement with, say, our welfare system, whether you're talking about creating children and putting more life, like there's a million different ways in traffic and where you live and how you vote and the things you do on the internet, like in every way, you have some buy-in to society. With the privilege and all the rights afforded to you, in this society, there ought to be some responsibilities as well. And one of those responsibilities ought to be being a somewhat informed voter. I don't think that we can have this idea, this delusion that like, well, some people aren't informed enough to vote, so we should keep them from voting. LOL. They're voting in a whole bunch of other ways. They vote if they make themselves heard in city council meetings. They vote when they protest. They vote when they buy things from certain shops. They vote in the areas that they choose to rent and live in. They vote when they litter on the streets. Like, there is this huge buy-in in society, and voting is just one dimension of this buy-in.
Okay.
And to pretend that that's like something that only some people should do when everybody votes with a whole bunch of different actions, I fundamentally disagree with that. I think voting is a responsibility that we should all have.
Okay. I kind of agree with you. Like, I think that I think individuals should vote. I do think that's kind of an obligation you have. But if individuals who are like over the age of 18 or whatever, and who, as you say, vote in so many other ways, just completely skirt this obligation that they have to vote, I would argue not because they have this moral principled stance of, well, I don't believe in either candidate, but rather just because they're too lazy to do it, i.e., drive through voting. Why would we pander to that? I mean, you're saying they vote in all these other ways. Well, okay, then isn't it enough to ask them to take the time to do it in the way that will elect politicians?
I mean, it depends on the type of voting stuff we're talking about, I guess. I'd have to see the specific provisions. If somebody wants to take the time to go down and vote, I don't give a fuck if they do it at 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Like, if that's what somebody wants to do. Like,
no, okay, well, I think you kind of missed it. I may have not articulated well.
Well, I think you're assuming.
Hold on, Mr. Girl. So I think.
Well, I want to talk Stardust.
Well, I
understand. I just want to clarify one thing so Destiny can understand it.
Stardust, will you help me?
All right. I'm sorry. Let's let. Okay. All right. Kai, is there any chance that you can do it in like 5 seconds?
No, I'm not going to yield time to Mr. Girl.
In 5.
Stardust, mute that. Stardust, you need to mute this pussy.
Mr. Girl, we have to let people finish, and then I promise you will be next. Okay.
He's never going to finish.
He'll finish.
Wait, let's just fast forwarding. I understand what you're saying. You're saying that these people are basically like crawling on their hands and knees up to some lazy fuck in bed and saying, please, will you just fill out the ballot box? I just need you to vote, even though this person has no idea. That's what you're saying. That's your complaint, right?
Yes.
I think if somebody is not going to vote because of that,
I understand
they
that
really should.
Yeah. If that is the case, then that is the case, but I don't think we're anywhere near that point yet. Extending the hours of the voting box, I don't think that this is like dragging people out of bed to go and vote. I think that's fine.
Then why would they
Mr.
not
Girl.
vote unless
Wait, guys,
Stardust?
let's get. He's gonna. We got to give him a space to get in. So, Mr. Girl, yes.
Stardust
what would you like to say?
is going to mute you. Okay. I would like to say that I don't think what Destiny is saying is that he's saying we should have an informed voting block. We shouldn't have people voting or blocks. We shouldn't have people voting who don't know what they're talking about. And then you said, well, so why should we cater to them? I don't think he's saying specifically the solution is to give uninformed people an easy way to vote. I think he's saying that the system will work better overall if everybody is informed enough to vote and everybody votes. I don't think he was saying you should help people who don't know what they're voting on vote.
But I never see that that's, well, actually, I maybe that's just sampling bias that I don't.
Well, don't ask him to represent a view he didn't just express. He's clearly not saying I don't want people who don't know what they're voting on to vote. He's saying, I want everybody to know what they're voting on. I want everybody to vote.
Mr. Girl, I don't know if this is like the Mr. Girl gets very testy off from the bat arc because you roll over in certain debates and now you're changing that. But I'm not asking Destiny to support a position he doesn't. I'm saying that Destiny, in applying the mandatory voting, is going to have a lot of people who are no more informed than they were before and are not more willing to vote than they were before voting.
You're interpreting mandatory voting in the most possibly uncharitable way, where you're saying,
well, it's just mandatory.
True. Well, no, it's not just true, because you could also have mandatory civic education or
but that's not what we were talking about, Mr. Girl. We were just talking about voting, and if you required everybody right now to vote, and all the people who currently don't vote did, it would happen to show exactly what I just said. I don't think I'm being dishonest here.
Maybe there'd be like a greater effort to like inform voters.
Yeah,
and I think that's what you should argue for first.
I think that is the first thing he said. Literally the first thing he said is that everybody who votes should be informed enough to vote. The public should know what they're voting on, and everybody should vote.
Yes, and him just saying that is not going to make that happen if you make everybody vote, right? So if Destiny
you didn't ask him to make it happen, you just asked him what was ideal.
Yes, and if Destiny said, I think before we had mandatory voting, everybody should exhibit a kind of political fluency, that would be a good thing. I'd agree with that. I think people should be
Okay, so
politically
you
fluent
thought
before
when
they
he
vote.
said everybody should be informed about voting, you thought he might mean that they should be informed about what they're voting on after they vote, and you needed him to specify that they should be informed
you
about
know
it
that's
before
not
they
what
vote.
I was saying. You know that's
So
not
what
what I
the
was
fuck
saying.
are you talking? I just feel like it would be more productive for you to
Kai,
say
would
something
you be
like,
interested in like maybe requiring some form of like political literacy, like it's sort of like a basic, tenet of questions like, hey, what is this person's position on this or whatever, if they're going to be voting for somebody, so that it shows that they've actually put in some effort to be informed on the subjects.
Yeah, this is like what I talk about with immigration, where I'm against birthright citizenship. I mean, if we're requiring that immigrants in this country are going to have to pass like an exam to get into it, I think that should at least be required for anybody who's born in the country before they have their citizenship. And I think we'd alleviate a few problems. I agree with the principle of having like a test. The difficult thing is that you have to make it accessible to everybody. So I'll kind of come halfway, which is that maybe there's issues with the accessibility of political fluency. But if we make that widespread, I think that should happen way before mandatory voting. And I would argue mandatory voting doesn't even need to happen if we make, the people who want to be politically fluent more politically fluent.
But that's bullshit. If you live in the country and you're impacted by the policies of the country, how the fuck are you not allowed to vote for the country? It's not like the country is only going
because
to
you don't
enact-
think that's a priority.
It doesn't matter. The country is not going to enact policies that only affect people that pass the test. It's going to enact policies that affect every single person in society. The idea that you don't get a say in that because you don't get to pass the test or something, I don't know. I think that's fundamentally, I don't think that works. You're setting yourself up for a violent revolution that you'd have nobody to blame but yourself. Why are all these people so mad that I took the right of them to vote away from? Now they're coming and rising up against me because the 20% of the population that could vote decided to get rid of fucking welfare and just get rid of taxation. I don't understand what's going on. That's not how society works.
Well, I think it's a little silly to think that there's going to be a revolution because all the people who it's like we give them a heads up. Hey, before you can vote in this next election, you have to you have to show a kind of political fluency. You have to have an understanding of the democratic process. And then they don't take the test, understanding the consequence. And when they can't vote, they have a violent revolution. It's like, why would they not go through the process of securing their right to vote? Well, maybe it's because they don't see that that's a very important right. They don't think it's their duty or their obligation because they're not civic minded.
yeah, but there's a inherent power abuse there where the people who write the test get to define what being educated is or what reality is.
And that's why I add the caveat.
It could be extremely broad and something agreed upon by all political parties, even if it's a
So you
small,
get to everybody gets to vote on what the test is.
I can already
least
see
help
every single 2
defining
years,
terms,
the
I
next
would
huge
say.
debate would be over what questions
Oh,
go
yeah.
on the
Oh,
test.
yeah,
It would
I
probably
definitely
be
see that.
it would be the most important issue on the ballot every year is what test you need to take to vote on the ballot. That would be the new
it could
battleground.
also just be as simple as a basic civics test that we already kind of give.
like in
people when
high
it
school,
comes
you
to
take the
citizens.
civics.
Yeah, but
exam.
even basic civics,
who's
if
we?
you were to ask the average person, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think if you were to ask the average American how many senators the United States has, I think less than 60% of people would get that answer correct.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's the problem.
Easily, yeah.
And that's the problem. Why do you want those people to vote?
But this is also
I mean,
something
but
that's easily
that's
remedied
it's
with
our problem. That's
Yes, no, I agree. But the response to the problem is not making everybody vote. It's making sure that the people who have explained or have prioritized political fluency and actually have the civic-minded, disposition are the ones voting.
But then the problem is we should be fixing those problems. The idea isn't to just basically disenfranchise 80% of the American public, because especially if you're talking high school civics, you're probably getting rid of 80% of the voting pool, if not, depending on what we're talking
everybody
about, right?
was asking me the senators and stuff.
Yeah, so now I don't even know. I think technically, don't we have 101 senators? Doesn't DC have a non-voting
DC
senate?
has one now.
Yeah, so I don't even know if I would get all these questions right. I consider myself relatively informed.
It's not that DC has one; it's that the VP is the tiebreaker.
Well, no, the VP counts as tiebreaker, but I think the DC actually has a non-voting senator, which is weird.
Oh, yeah. I think also one of the.
Oh no, wait, it might be a house. It might be a house delegate, not a senator. I'm sorry.
Well, but I think also Costa Rica has non-voting
Yeah,
like
they
and
might.
maybe Guam, but I'm not
Sure.
entirely like they
But
don't.
I'm just
vote,
saying
yeah.
that like the goal shouldn't be like, okay, these people don't understand the process, now they can't vote. The goal should be we need to make them understand the process, because once you've cut voting off to like a certain percentage of people, why would you ever want to inform anybody else? My vote would be worth like 30 times as much if I axed out that many people. I don't want to enfranchise those people or give them.
I mean,
the
we
ability
already
to vote.
have groundswell efforts to like get people registered for voting. You would imagine that those same people would also try to be going out there to try to, hey, these are the basic civics facts that you need to know if you're gonna vote. So make sure you know these. Here's a quiz thing. I have a feeling there would be like a lot of effort to like get people out and doing that. And I would imagine that like, I don't know, I would say that like very small barrier to entry would probably make people like give a shit a little bit more about their vote than like maybe say people who only vote for the president or something.
By the way, I
Yeah,
meant
the-
Puerto Rico. I meant Puerto Rico, not Costa
Yeah.
Rica.
The corruption that would happen there would be insane. I think
Okay.
in one sense, so we all agree everybody should know about civics and then everybody should vote. So the question is, do we err on the side of people who are less educated voting about stuff they don't understand, or do we err on the side of preventing people who do know what they're talking about and are educated enough to vote, but we're not allowing them to vote because they didn't pass the test that we decided? And I think the American thing to do, the democratic thing to do, clearly is to err on the side of allowing people to vote even if they don't know what they're talking about, and approach this as an educational problem rather than like we need to restrict people from voting problem.
Why do you frame it with like the American thing to do? Like, what do you think makes that an American thing to do? Other than appealing to right wingers, because I think you're trying to appeal to me by saying this is the American thing to do because I really like America. Do you actually mean that?
I really like America.
Isn't one of the foundational mottos like no taxation without representation, right? Like,
Yeah, but even
Yeah.
once there was
So if we're
representation, it was
we're
men
taking
who
people's
owned
money.
property.
Yeah, so if we're taking people's money, we can't tell them that they can't vote.
Okay,
If
but you were
you're
taking
a
men's
citizen,
money,
if you're-
which is why at the
if you're-
beginning of the country, the most American it was, arguably.
Arguably, but also arguably that not. So I don't agree
Okay,
with
well,
you.
that's true.
You know I
Okay,
don't
okay.
agree with you. You're not going to convince me it was the most American time when we had
That's
fucking
fine.
slaves and
All
women
I
couldn't
can
vote.
I don't even need to convince
think
you.
that's-
I just need to remind you that
You
throughout
remind me that the most American thing to
vast
do is to have
majority of
slaves.
American history, voting was a lot more restrictive. So you saying that enfranchising like everybody is an American thing is not something I necessarily buy into.
Well, I know you don't buy into my vision of America, but you
Okay,
you
so-
understand but you were fluent enough in the progressive dialect to understand what I meant by that, right? Like I can explain it
think
to you,
so.
but okay, well, I mean,
think
let
when
me
you
explain
say-
to you what when a progressive says the American thing to do, and they're referring to America in a positive sense. They're talking about things like equality, democracy, everybody having a voice, giving power to the powerless, stuff like that.
And I'm spinning
yes.
it and asking why you say that's American, and then I'm using the historical inconsistencies to explain that I don't believe it is. And then it's not just a difference of rhetoric, it's a difference of the understanding of what America was meant to be. And that's our disagreement.
Yes, exactly. But you know what I think America was meant to be, and I know what you think America was meant to be, and we know the difference between the two things. And I want America to be the thing that I want it to have meant to be. Like, we know what America was, and I don't like what America was.
Okay.
I don't even like what America was 50 years ago. I don't even like what America is now, but I like what I believe it is supposed to be. And clearly, you know what I'm fucking talking about. It's fine if you don't agree with me, but like don't pretend you don't know what I mean.
Okay. Well, now you're flipping, what I've been saying to you back on its head. But really, you have to admit that my idea of America, which is what you just said, is different than you saying the American thing. I mean, sure, you could say I was inserting the progressive rhetoric into it, but I do think you've diverged from your original point.
Well, yeah, when I say the American thing to do, I'm talking about like the Superman version of America.
Okay.
You know, I'm not talking about
Superman
the
is
slavery version of America.
I just got last username in here. Thank you, last username, for jumping in. He is now the replacement and Gap. So I just sent you the question. Feel free to weigh in if you'd like.
Yeah, should I do like my intro kind of thing?
Sure.
Democracy. Okay. Democracy, I think
God that failed.
the realistic, no, well, the realistic way to think about democracy, I think, is the like a non-bloody revolution that happens on a regular schedule, right? That's
I mean, define non-bloody. Oh, sorry, it's your open. Sorry, my bad.
the unrealistic way to think of it is like a decision-making mechanism or a way of representing the will of the people or a way of making government sort of more morally legitimate. I just don't think, I think there's a lot, I think that kind of talk is more like mythology. You have to squint your eyes to see democracy that way. If you look at it closely, that just doesn't describe what really happens with democracy very well. As far as like a better way to do a revolution, it does that. It's great at that. Fills that purpose quite well and increases the quality of government. But it's overrated. As for mandatory voting, I don't see how that's going to improve anything. You are going to, by forcing everyone to vote, you're just going to be, well, one big effect is you're going to be forcing people to vote. The average sort of informedness and intelligence is going to be, of the average voter, is going to go down because presumably people self-select for how competent they are at decision making when they choose whether or not to vote. And if they don't have that choice, the net sort of competence is going to go down. It's easy enough to say, well, let's just improve. Let's just make everyone smart and informed and everything. But that's a big, big problem. There's a really fundamental reason that people are uninformed about politics. And I don't think you can just sort of wave that away easily.
What would you say is the primary reason that people aren't informed on politics?
Because they don't have any good incentive to be informed. And politicians craft their narratives in a way so that you don't need to know anything to actually believe in them and to support them, right? They sell like political, the reasons to vote for a politician are a kind of product that's manufactured and a product that you have to do lots of research to understand and to believe in is not a good product. One that you can just believe in just by memorizing a few slogans and you can understand it really easily and then you can feel really good for believing in it and brag to your friends about believing in it. That's a much more appealing product. So that's the kind of product that politicians come up with.
Not to mention a product that will get you alienated from certain social groups if you don't embrace said product, and also a product that's
and enamored with
like
other social
the only product that's blatantly just sort of allowed to lie about what it's actually offering. Yeah,
I mean,
This
part of
is
the product
actually-
is having like others who can be the bad guys, right? And you
If
be
I
the
can
good
kind of
guys.
rope it back, this is something actually brought up by a very intelligent super chatter and something that's true. Destiny, you were mentioning, and MrGirl, you too, the issues with like having a question or like a quiz for people who could vote, but you're relying on the education system for telling people, what is truly politically correct or for inspiring their political fluency. When I think, that is going to open up the debate with like every single Republican ever. You already know what they feel about this.
This is defeated instantaneously. The idea that education only happens in school is a liberal delusion. Actually, I don't know why a conservative would say it. The reality is that we're educated from in the womb, depending on the music a mom might play with headphones up to her stomach, or when we're born, the early interactions we have between our parents and our family, or when we go to Sunday school, when we go to church, the friends that we hang out with, the extended family we spend time with. You get educated all throughout your life from tons of different people. I grew up being hardcore conservative, and it's not because of the Catholic school I went to. It's because my parents were both, one was a Cuban immigrant, and they were both Air Force retired veterans. Like, this is why I grew up a hardcore conservative. Like, education doesn't have to just happen in a school. Everybody knows this.
Yeah, but if we're talking about like inspiring people to be politically fluent enough to vote, I mean, I guess you could make the argument that, well, we want it to happen more everywhere. But in line with what we were arguing, it kind of made more sense for the suggestion to be that, well, maybe we teach politics more in like public school or whatnot. I guess I'm not really finding that to be a sufficient answer for making the public more politically knowledgeable.
Well, are you saying that schools are too left-leaning?
I think whether or not I made that argument, you would run into so much friction.
Did you make
the
that
average
argument?
Republican.
Is the question? Is that what you're
I
saying?
didn't, no, but I'd be sympathetic to that argument. More so higher education than like a regular public school. But then again, I live in Utah, so I don't know.
I think that's true. I think schools are too left-leaning.
I think schools
so
tend to
you wouldn't-
support.
You wouldn't want to rely on them to teach kids about political fluency if that's your argument for more people voting, right? Is that political
I wouldn't
fluency?
want to rely solely on school. No, I think schools should be less left-leaning. Yeah, I wouldn't want to rely on schools for solely. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if the solution is to introduce more diversity of opinion or thought into schools, or if there's another way that people need to learn about politics. Because like progressives are just more likely to become teachers, I think, and work in schools. So I don't know that. I don't know. I don't know how you fix that.
I guess that
Schools are not exactly in the business of teaching people things that they need to know to live their lives, right? Whether it be politics.
Well, yeah, but
or
but also who decides
that's it.
what that is.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying that you may have noticed that schools tend to not do. There's lots of obvious things that school could teach you about that would help you live your life better, like dealing with your finances and so on. But they don't teach that.
Weird.
So if we're talking about schools should teach this, it's better to ask, well, why aren't they teaching that already? Why aren't they teaching all these other obvious things that it would be great if people knew, right?
The answer is boring, but the answer is almost tautological because it's not in the curriculum. I guess
Also,
the interesting question is why isn't it in the
it?
curriculum? But yeah, I mean, we teach what we need to get degrees. Like we basically just teach in school for degrees. That's what we're really teaching for, right? It's not for life skills. It's to go to college.
Well, why isn't the degree in useful stuff?
Because you don't need it to be successful in life, generally, right?
But you do. You do need to know how to do your finances and how to pull it.
A lot of people get by without knowing fuck all about anything. How many fucking conservatives have I argued about that don't even know how to file their fucking taxes, right? Like you can find a service.
But that's
for
my
anything,
point.
Right? Yeah, I know, but that's my point. My point is that like I can talk to a ton of people who are in their 20s and 30s who probably don't really know, who if they didn't have like TurboTax couldn't fill out like a 1040 easy. They wouldn't be able to do it on their own. But it's not because they're stupid. It's just because life changes, right? Like this is a common thing that you'll hear from like older conservative guys might say like, you fucking kids today, you couldn't unclog a toilet, you couldn't change a light bulb, you couldn't do any of that shit. It's like a lot of them are like, yeah, I couldn't. I pay someone to do that, Dad. Like fucking I work on a computer all day and I make 60, 80, 70,000 whatever a year, or 100,000 plus a year depending on where you live doing that. Like the skills that we're expected to know to thrive in life are just so much different than some of the foundational skills that I guess people learned a long time ago. I agree with you. I sound like a little detached. I think it'd be cool if everybody knew how to do taxes and shit. It would make it so people voted more intelligently on it instead of getting hoodwinked by Republicans talking about fucking deficit cuts and tax cuts for billionaires over and over again like they always do. But the reality is that you can just not know any of that shit and still do like pretty well in life. Look how many people are listening to the stream right now who like couldn't cook a meal if their life depended on it, or like do their laundry, or God forbid,
why you
like,
gotta
iron a
lift.
shirt.
That's why you got to lift. That'll teach you all the things.
Well, my point is that there are things that school does try to teach you that are much less useful than the obvious things that it doesn't teach you.
Sure.
Like learning about history is a lot less useful than knowing how to manage your finances.
Sure.
But school teaches history and they don't teach finances. So to get it, before you can say schools should teach this, you got to answer why they're obvious things they could better choices they can make for curriculum that they aren't currently making. Right.
Well, it might be better for a society if everybody knows history and nobody knows how to do their finances, rather than everybody knows how to do their finances and nobody knows history. I don't know. I agree that
the finances would be better for society.
It's less.
It would be better for the individuals.
Exactly. Yeah. But part of what school is doing is not just teaching you what's best for you as an individual. It's also trying to make you into a good citizen.
The other problem is that they don't actually know the history.
To an extent, like
in school.
A lot of that argument I think comes from like also like the college thing of like, oh well, you need to take all these like ancillary classes that you really don't need because we want you to be more balanced. It's like, no, it's because they want to have a reason to have those teachers on the payroll.
I think the pursuit is noble. We should be. When I understand that maybe our expectations are too high, but
not with the way that college is currently marketed as like a primarily job certification program.
Well, but that's what college tries to get away from. They don't want you to just go to get your comp sci degree. Like you should be able to know how to write an email without looking like a fucking retard, or you should be able to like communicate with people, or know a little bit about art, or a little bit about history. Like, no offense, and this might come off as harsh, but like if you're struggling with gen eds, then this life isn't for you. Okay, you need to either go back 100 years or fucking go waste away playing video games, because Jesus Christ, they're fucking gen eds. Okay.
And that was the thing. Like when I got into university, I was like
cost incentive.
When I got into university, I realized like it was this culture shock of, wait a minute, there's really stupid people in college. I thought this was like only for smart people. Like it was such a wake up call for me. But the one thing that I hate is like they're forcing me to take classes I really don't want to take. And to be fair, like I've really enjoyed exploring anthropology. I'm in a primates class right now. I love it. Like I am enjoying college a lot when it's classes I want to take, but I don't want to take these fine arts credits. I definitely don't want to take a required diversity credit, and they're forcing me to pay money, luckily that I have in scholarships, to stay in the college and to get those classes out of the way. And I think that's stupid. So I'll go 50-50.
Yeah, but like you're like part of the problem. You're part of the conservative problem.
What's that?
The conservatives for like 100 years have been like art is gay. And then
No,
like
I don't
100
think art
years
is gay.
later,
I don't think
and
art
then
is
100
gay at
years
all.
later, we look at like Hollywood, we look at all of music, we look at all of entertainment, and it's like, damn, how the fuck is this all fucking liberals? How are all these fucking left-leaning people in art? Yeah, no fucking shit, because conservatives constantly tell their kids, just go to school and make sure that you do good in science, technology, engineering, and math. It's like, oh, crazy that now the fucking liberals won the culture war because none of the conservatives are fucking culture.
I think the more pressing complaint is generally like the cost incentive and how college is kind of touted as this thing that you need to have if you're going to have like a decent high paying job. I think that's like the main problem that people generally have with this.
I'm going to divert the conversation. The money argument is less entertaining than the discussion about like the conservative view of art, because I think Destiny's kind of right. Like the conservatives, the problem is like when conservatives make movies a lot of the time, other than like Mel Gibson, they make a movie where it's like, this is the good guy and the good guy is like the good guy and there's no complexity to it. And then that's why you have like all these right wingers who love the Kino movies and, you know, Scorsese and all these like classic films, which aren't really right wing, but they take a message out of it. And I get that all the time. Like, did you know American Psycho was written by a woman? Isn't it? It's like a criticism of yuppie culture and its toxic masculinity. I'm like, what happened to art as subjective? Okay. So I actually kind of agree with Destiny, but for some reason, right-wingers, at least, or conservatives, seem to suck at like making movies. I don't know what it is, whether they can't develop like a complex thought, of course with notable exceptions. But yeah, I think you're kind of right about that. But I really appreciate art. I just don't want to take a class that teaches me about, I don't know, architecture or something. I want to learn about monkeys, and I want to learn about genes, and I want to learn about interesting stuff to me, and not, you know, feminist theory.
There's like classical art that tends to be like the old art, and it's the new art that's some kind of problem.
And Roger Scruton articulated this well, like when he talked about how beauty is intrinsic, and it is, you know, there is a certain metric of beauty that is objective, and that's kind of the conservative stance on it, and I tend to agree with that.
Yeah.
Should we move on to
We
the
got
second?
sidetracked away from democracy really hard. Holy shit.
It was interesting.
Complicated, man.
Yeah.
You just
I
reminded
had
me.
a special-
I'm talking a lot, but I have another question for MrGirl and Destiny.
Well, for who?
MrGirl and Destiny. Either of you guys can respond because you both probably have thoughts on it. I think the problem is that you keep putting the pressure and the obligation on the rest of society who is already civic-minded enough to want to vote, and then I don't think you guys are thinking about the fact that maybe some people just are not wired that way. The same way I'm not wired to really like to take fine arts classes and enjoy other stuff. Some people just are not wired to be civic-minded and to care about voting, but you insist on making them, you know, smart enough to vote. Like,
Okay, here's my or go, Mr. Go.
I was gonna say the problem with that is again, you're defining who is wired that way, and it's very preferential, I guess, to say, well, certain groups of people.
He didn't say anything about groups.
Certain groups of people with certain colors who like to eat certain foods.
Oh, come on.
Are
That's literally not what I was saying.
Well, okay.
Mr. Girl,
To
don't
say
you
some
think that there are some people who just don't care much about politics?
In
Yes,
any
but the problem is-
race or group.
Not a race.
Sure, but the problem is that when you, and so what I wasn't trying to say you're saying that a certain group of people. I'm trying to say that it can be easily. I'm trying to show you how this train of thought can easily become corrupted into. If you're the definer of who is ultimately just not cut out to be a voter, or a reader, or a thinker, or a doctor, then that quickly can turn into an abuse of power. And so it's better to just assume anybody can become educated enough or intelligent enough to vote, and our goal should be to bring these people up, not to say, well, they're a lost cause. And conveniently for me, they're not going to vote for the same thing I was going to vote for anyway. So perfect.
So the proposal on the table is like restrictions on who can vote based on some sort of test, because I'm not in favor of that.
I think that is
they restrict
I
themselves,
think
right?
that is the description.
Like what?
Well,
What
yeah,
if it's
just let
not
'em
me? What
restrict
if it's not
themselves.
me saying that they're wired that way? What if they've made that decision by what they value? Like, what if they've
Well,
made
there's
that decision?
certain things that certain people can't consent to, and being an uninformed, disenfranchised voter is one of those things. I think what Destiny was saying earlier is that it's not we shouldn't give up on people, even if they want us to. Even if they're saying like I don't care about society, I'm not part of it, I don't want to vote. And what he's saying is that you do care, you are part of it. Just because you've been convinced or hurt so much that you want to withdraw, you can't actually. You're still bought in, you're still paying taxes, and we need you.
Like the comparison that I would make is if anybody's played like Eve online, God forbid, that horrible fucking game, or Rust, God forbid, also another horrible fucking game.
Playing League?
I'm playing Rust right now.
Not League. Like if we're
unfortunately.
talking like Eve, or we're talking Rust with large teams, right? One of the as crazy as it sounds, like one of the most important things in it's probably true of WoW as well, or Final Fantasy 14. I don't play MMOs, but you know what? I've never played them, but I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna say I know it's true for these games, even though I've never played them before. Okay, one of the most important things that you have as a team leader or as anybody else in the game is keeping everybody else interested in the game, because all of you are kind of like there together. All of you are going to either sink or swim together. You're either going to clear the raids, you're not. You're either going to blow up enemy base or not. You're either going to have your corp thrive in Eve or not. And the motivation to get everybody together, to be excited, to be participating, like falls on every single member. Just the leader, the raid leader, the corp leader, the alliance leader, whatever, just one person can't do it. Every single person there has to be bought into that idea, and they all have to be there to do it. The only difference is you can't log out of living in the United States of America. When you're here, you're here. And we all kind of have a responsibility to make sure that everybody is somewhat incentivized into getting shit done. You can't just drop them and be like,
Well,
fuck you, don't vote, like whatever. Like
The fact that you
it's
can't
kind of
just
all
log
on us.
out, that's why I don't like this idea that
No,
you're
you
sort
can
of
log out.
obligated.
Go find a sink, fill it up with water, put your head underneath long enough, and you'll be out of the United States if you really want to. Okay, get that ANCAP shit out of here.
You
all
go
right?
to Brazil.
Listen,
You go to Brazil if you
Everybody
do
is
that.
here on the ground. You're participating in society, whether you like it or not. Okay, you have to be here. You got to do shit. We should all be roped into getting everybody.
Well, but you don't.
Involved.
Yeah,
with
why
it.
should you- I
isn't
don't-
that
why
enough
should
of
you
an
have to
incentive?
vote?
That's the incentive.
But that's not for everybody, because you can live here
But why
without
not?
voting.
Like that's
Because I can
that's the
go-
largest incentive you could give somebody, and they still won't vote. So
Because-
maybe they just don't care.
Because
maybe
you can
people
go
just
your whole
don't
life
care
without
about
voting,
that.
and it doesn't matter, right? You might
But
might
then
not notice.
not caring is all of our problem.
I think.
But
Well,
ultimately,
so-
what you're talking about is
what I-
forcing
one thing
them.
I really
Like, you
don't-
can try to make people care. I have no objection to you
No,
trying
I'm
to
not
do
talking
that.
about-
I have an
yeah,
objection to
I
saying
that's-
vote
well, that's-
or you go to jail or something, right?
Yeah,
That's-
I
go
don't
to
think we should
jail.
put people in jail for not voting. I think.
I mean, that's what
think
mandatory
I'm-
voting means, right?
What about death
Well, it could
penalty?
also just
what
be a
I'm
fine.
what I'm trying to say is that I think
joke,
I
sorry.
don't like the hyper partisan interpretations of various problems of like Black Lives Matter. Well, so one side says it's the police are all cops are bastards, and one side says no, it's that these people are just committing crimes and
Truth is in
trying
the
to
middle.
kill blah blah blah. No, it's not. It's not. I'm not saying it's in the middle. I'm saying that that if you back out and you just look at the whole system or what like the whole interaction as the problem, it's the dynamic that's the problem. And so if you're saying like no, what if these people just don't blah blah blah, or we're saying oh what like no, just gerrymandering is keeping them, it's making it too hard, or these voting restrictions are making it too hard from the vote, and so you're the bad guys. Like maybe it's just that a symptom of something wrong in society when there's a large number of people who don't vote and don't want to vote and don't know enough to vote.
Okay.
And
Sure,
and
let's talk
blaming
about
general
the dynamic
apathy.
then. How is the dynamic going to improve if people are forced to vote? Ethics aside, let's just, what do you think, how is it going to improve anything?
I don't think forcing people to vote on its own will improve anything. I can imagine a situation where, with a lot of other improvements to other things, forcing people to vote, not with a penalty of going to jail, though. I think that's insane. But where mandating people to vote, or maybe paying people to vote, or get your tax break you get, something like that.
So
I can imagine a situation where
That
people are
a lot of other
strongly
things is
encouraged
doing
to
a lot of
vote.
work here, right? Like what other things? Like this is a really, really fundamental problem. It's a ton of work to actually learn enough to vote, to be an informed voter, right? There's tons of shit you have to know. Getting people to do that, I mean, how would you do that? That's not a simple problem.
I'm not saying it is a simple problem. I'm just saying I could see one component of the solution. I just don't think it's fair to take like, yes, obviously lots. If you just did it now, then that I see the problems you have with it. I'm just saying that I think that it could be a part of a broader
I don't think it is that complicated. I think that people vote, like, if you look at like an average Trump voter, right? Like, people aren't voting for Trump because of his fucking policies. People vote for Trump because they hear the guy talk, they trust him, and they think that he'll do the right thing. That's why people vote for Trump. And I think, as much as I hate that personally, as a YouTube intellectual, I think that's enough to vote. If you think that there's somebody that you trust, you believe in their character, you think that they can enact the policy you want, as long as you know that much, then fuck it, you vote for him. And then it's the politician's job to show the character that they want to earn the vote of the voter. That's how it goes, right?
Well, let me put it this way. If the politicians that we have now are, a lot of the bullshit that people believe comes from them, right? It comes from the politicians, comes from their campaigns. So if they're already...
What? Say that again?
A lot of the stupid shit that people believe that motivates their votes comes from the people who they're voting for.
That's totally not true, but go ahead.
Why? You don't think so? Like,
no, I mean, absolutely not. I think that
you're just talking about. You don't think Donald Trump actually fed people a lot of the bullshit?
No, he discovered it. I think that's really important to understand. There exists in society an Overton window. People think that politicians create it, but politicians are actually trying to find it. One of the reasons why Trump won is because the Overton window was way larger in some areas, and a lot of politicians were like, Trump can't win. Nobody's going to vote for that or that or that or that. But Trump identified, actually, there's a lot of motherfuckers that do like this shit. You guys don't see it, and I do, and that's part of the huge wins that he's able to gain in surprising groups of people and some non-white people and the last one. Yeah,
that's fine. So whether he created or discovered it, the point is he was entirely willing to exploit it and to just go with that narrative. And you know, that's what politicians do. If they're willing to do that, why would they be willing to implement any sort of program that made people much more informed and critical thinking? Like, that would seem to go against, like, that. Then they couldn't do that. Then Trump couldn't feed people bullshit.
Why would they? Well, because there's other things that people care about more right now than like people being educated, I guess, right?
Well, that's just it. I mean, the government doesn't have an incentive to educate people. It clearly has the opposite.
You're saying the government would be ceding control by teaching people more about how it works.
Then let's be honest.
Yeah,
there's also like
power.
a large swath of people that voted against Trump for specifically because they hated Trump or were told to hate Trump, essentially. Like the whole like you know,
which is part of the simplistic narrative, I think.
Well, I don't think any of us think that most people who are Stardust. I don't think any of us think that most people who are voting already are educated enough to have a well-rounded idea of what they're voting for.
I think
even people in office don't seem to understand civics.
I think it might be
oh yeah, holy shit!
Shut up. Okay. I think it might be a.
That's one of the things.
I think it might be a good point for us to move on to the second topic. Birth rates are declining. Is this a good thing for our country? What can singles and families do to address the problem?
Fuck.
So
fuck without protection, right?
So vulgar.
Fuck without protection.
The reality is there's nothing you can do to artificially stimulate birth rates. Like, people tried this in the past. It just, like, when the economic conditions are right, people make more kids. If everybody feels fucked and depressed, too many people are watching Twitch and Cozy instead of getting out there in the real world and lifting and learning about monkeys and genetics, I guess. Yeah, I mean, like,
it's real.
Birth problems are not a thing you can solve. Like, birth things are going to be a symptom of like 50 other things in society. That it having children is so far downstream, so many other things that I don't think that's worth trying to fix just that individual thing. Yeah.
Do you think that the young male virginity crisis is a significant component of the birth rate problem?
It's also a female problem now as well.
Yeah, there's fertility crisis with men and women, but I think mostly it's like.
Well, I'm not talking about fertility crisis. I'm saying, as I said, a virginity crisis.
Or sorry, my bad. Wait, did you say virginity or fertility?
Virginity. There is a virginity epidemic among young men.
It's probably because of pornography and kind of the erosion of masculinity.
Well, whatever the reason is, I'm saying, is that a component of the birth rate problem,
Sure.
or
Yeah,
do
for sure.
you guys think that's separate?
It's a good question. I could imagine it being a cause or a symptom, or just something more complicated. But I mean, the low birth rates is something that just happens in like all developed countries, right? Countries get rich, the birth rates go down. I don't know if the virginity problem is also something that's just global.
I would like to know.
Yeah. So
And we have like massive first world countries actively trying to take steps to try to figure out how to do this, and it doesn't seem like they've been able to figure it out yet, unfortunately. So
it's kind of weird. We see like little steps. The health minister of Germany, under I think it was her policies that were kind of pro-birth and whatnot. They were really good, I think, and we saw a decent rise in the overall fertility, or I think she at least was able to very powerfully stop the decline. But I'd actually push back on that, MrGirl. I think it's not only a problem of the virginity crisis. I think it's just about the way people have sex in general, right? There's plenty of people who are not in a crisis of virginity. They're in a crisis of hedonism and, having too many partners, and they don't see any of the partners. Yes, yeah, hedonism, degeneracy,
just general inability to form relationships,
which I think is because of the erosion of masculinity and femininity and whatnot.
That's fine. You can take it and run with it whatever way you want. I'm not. I just want to clarify. I was not saying that I think it is.
Yeah.
I was just asking what you guys thought. I don't know if it's related.
You're like, what are you getting rid of Stardust job? You're like the conversation starter now. Stardust has been. Stardust, you've been removed. There's a man who's taking your spot.
Yeah. I just wanted to see if it resonated with anybody. Is dating and sex among young people related to the birth rate, or is probably more of a money thing? But is it? Yeah,
I feel like it takes you longer and longer to get into adulthood, and I feel like there's so much more stuff going on now for us to do that it makes having children kind of shitty. So like if we go back a long time ago, right? If you are a girl and you don't really go to school and you've learned all the household shit, right? You're probably ready to start pumping out kids when you're, what, like 13, 14, 15? Is like even 100 years ago, people in the United States, calm down, MrGirl. People in the United States were like ready to start families at that age, right? Even that, like some of the conservatives defending Roy Moore were talking about like, oh, well, if my 14-year-old daughter wanted to get together, right? But nowadays, right, we go to grade school, then we go to high school, and that's like the bare minimum to not be a fucking idiot in society. And then really, you're expected to have a college degree too. So a lot of people don't even start adulthood really kind of until they're like, let's say 23. It will give you an extra year to finish college, right? So now you're 23 years old. Now you're like 10 years past where people used to be starting families to some extent, at least for women. Now you're just starting your, right? Well, fuck any of that. But you're just starting your life. If you're a man, you don't want to settle down, right? So women are looking for older guys that are in their 30s, right? When they're in their early 20s. If a woman wants to do a career, you don't want to give up the best 2, 3, 4, 5 years of your career life just starting a family. So that sucks. So now you're putting off until you're reasonably like 26, 27, 28 before you're even considering having a family. Now roll that into, if you're a millennial, you came into the job market 2007, 2008. Shit sucks. All of our benefits got destroyed. All the 401k matches, all that shit, job market sucked. Now you've had the big coronavirus pandemic. You can't find a fucking house anywhere. Your job shit is constantly on the line. Like, fuck. Life is hard. And it used to be that having kids was the only fucking thing you could do if you were like a reasonably successful person. Now there's all sorts of other shit that you have to do in life. It makes having children a more complicated decision when in the past it was like the only alternative.
Yeah, I think maybe we're just running out of time, right? It takes longer to get out of school, takes longer to buy a home. All this stuff takes longer to get settled in to the point where you can have a kid. And it's just like, maybe we're just, by the time you feel like you're an adult and ready to be a parent, you're 45 years old, and it's kind of too late.
Jobs are also just more complicated in a richer country, where like if your job is to like put something in a basket on your head and carry it from point A to point B or whatever, then you know everything you're going to need to know about how to do your job by the time you're 15. Whereas now you got to go be in school till you're like 30.
Damn, dude, I remember living, because I lived in Nebraska. I was born in 88, so I'm not like an old person. But like, dude, I'm like a city kid, and I visit these fuckers on a farm that are using like phone books so that they can sit up high enough to drive a truck when they're like 9 years old. I'm like, what the fuck? These kids are crazy. And they basically knew like everything. And like, I'll be like 13, 14 with this 10-year-old leading me around the farm, and he knows what to do with every single animal. These kids are like cleaning out like horse hooves and like helping their dads like shoe and everything. It's like, what the fuck? You guys are insane. But I mean, like, when you only have like so much stuff to learn, like, yeah, I think you could pick a lot of it up early on, and now we're getting pushed farther and farther back because you have to know 50 million things to be competitive in today's job economy, which also explains, as part of the earlier topic, why don't we learn things like home ec? Why don't we learn those things? Because our brains are being crammed full with so much other shit just to be competitive in today's job market.
Yeah.
The USA was doing okay.
We need to raise the age of consent at some point.
Unironically, yeah. I mean, like, okay, like if you got a kid that's like, how different is it if you go back a long time ago? Like an 18-year-old graduates high school, now they're finally an adult, right? I mean, like 30 years ago, that 18-year-old is just today's 22-year-old, right? If you're 22, 23, you've gone 4 or 5 years in college, you're in the fucking dorms, mom and dad pay your tuition. Like, you're just as much a kid as an 18-year-old used to be, right? And 20 years ago, that 18-year-old was just 50 years ago, the 12 or 13-year-old, right? Like, it's impossible to imagine, especially now being fucking 33, that like 19-year-old kids were dying on Omaha Beach and fucking Normandy in fucking World War II. Like, these were like actual children, actual little babies.
16,
like,
right?
I was walking up at the Capitol in my stay with my family today, and my mom was looking at the Vietnam War plaque. She's like, these are like 18-year-olds, and I'm thinking like, holy cow, that's like one of my friends. Like, I could have died in a war back then.
18. That's when you dye your hair blue and identify as non-binary. Like, that's what we did. No offense to any of my fun people.
You're not dying of the same things these days at this age. You are most of the time killing yourself. I mean, we are probably dying in similar numbers if we're looking over a span of time. We've probably hit World War II numbers with the amount of young people that are committing suicide.
I don't think it's that
over the last 10 years. Well, it depends. Yeah, the entirety of World War II, probably not. What was the U.S. loss in World War II? How many people died? U.S. people?
I think like 7 million.
World War II death toll USA was 1 million. It was a million.
Oh, 1 million.
One thing, if you ever get bored, if you want to look up if you ever want to look up suicide rates, I think it's really important to understand the people that kill themselves the most are actually like middle to late aged white men.
Yeah.
They're lonely. It's not actually teenagers that do it, even though we talk about that all the time. But it's actually like middle-aged to older white men that are just kind of like lonely with nothing in life, and they kill themselves.
I think teenagers actually, I don't know. You're right. I'd say statistically, but I think that the teenager thing, it's probably risen a lot more. Like, I would be surprised if, well, actually, no. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think white men probably commit a lot more suicide now because there is that lack of meaning. Truckers especially, right? Trucking is the most popular job in, I think, the majority of the states. It's the #1 job for high school educated or less middle-aged white men. Or for just white men in general. And those are jobs where most of the time you don't see your family a lot, or you get divorced because there's uncertain prospects. And as we know from relationships, we were talking about this last night, women do not find men who are going through economic hardship or are unstable attractive. That's why one of the #1 reasons for divorce with women is when there's financial hardship, is because the man is no longer presenting stability. And I think once the kids move on too, there's a sense of, what do I do next? There's no meaning in your life. And then if you get divorced, that has an effect on it, I'm sure. So there's a lot that compounds there. But the child rate of suicide probably has skyrocketed within the last 20 years.
Just for a check, I looked it up. It's not. If you look at like ages like 10 to 14, 15 to 24, it's lower now than it was in like 95. So that
really?
Too much, yeah. The one that's gone up the most, that has gone from, it looks like 12% to like 20% of suicides, is the 45 to 64 age group.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And probably more among men too, for reasons I just described.
Yeah. So some of the framing you just used where you're saying women leave because of men are not presenting stability, I also think you could reframe that as women leave because they can't fucking take care of themselves. So you're looking at the phenomenon through a certain lens that is a very right-wing conservative lens. I just want to point out that I
don't necessarily think it's right-wing or I don't even know if that's necessarily a right-wing or left-wing lens. Like, it's just kind of the MGTOW and the MGTOW people are like insane, but sometimes they get things right. Like, the female sexual reproduction strategy is this person is stable financially and is able to provide
I get what you're saying. I just disagreed with what you're saying before you said it.
Okay.
So it's fine if you believe it. That's fine if that's your lens. That could be your perspective. Yeah. I'm telling you that from a more feminist perspective, that to say that when you are saying this words like the female reproduction strategy, you're already so far off the rails of like how someone like me is going to interpret the situation. I just want to say that while we may agree on the facts, the implied solution of like men need to provide more stability for women, it's like the last fucking thing I want is to normalize men providing more stability to women. I don't like it. I don't want it. Okay. I don't believe in it.
I'm not even saying that's like how it should be. I'm just saying that like it seems to be this is like the primary driving factor. I think like when
the
women
framing
break up
in
with
it,
men in relationships, the primary reason stated is finances.
Yeah, but we can
Okay,
change
hold on,
that.
hold on,
So the framing implies how there is a prescription in there of how it should be. That men
So
should
there's a
provide
few
for
things. The
women.
first is like,
Yes.
okay, my husband just lost his job or whatever, and there's less stability. I think it would be an unstable move for the woman to leave the relationship, at least financially, right? Like, I don't think the right decision would be that.
Why
to
doesn't
jump
the
ship.
woman have a fucking job?
Well, she can. In fact, with
She
these.
can.
Well, hold on.
She
With these.
actually can.
Yes, and with these divorce statistics, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the women do have jobs. I mean, most women nowadays have jobs.
Well, so the women can support the family, but they're leaving because the man doesn't?
No.
It's a weird. Okay, actually, the answer is yeah. It's a really weird phenomenon in society. But as women attain more and more socioeconomic status, they still select for partners that are generally out-earning them. It's kind of like a weird imbalanced fuck you dating thing that's happening right about it. Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
imbalanced. It makes sense. Women want successful men, and no woman would, or at least in the last few decades, no woman would want a man who's less successful than her. Right?
A man wants a successful woman, and a woman wants a successful man. The thing is, that
I don't know.
if you let me finish my sentence, you'll agree with me 1,000,000%, right? The way that you don't have to shout at them for me. I'm not a fucking kid. Okay, Jesus. The way that people mark success is different, right? For men, like success is like having a career, basically, and having like some level of stability. For women, success is like being pretty and being young. This is like the things that we generally see as women is like, oh, you're successful. You're like, I can fuck you and make babies, and you're like in your early 20s, you look hot. As societal standards have changed for what is seen as like a successful woman, the societal standards haven't changed for what is a successful man. Now, a successful woman isn't necessarily seen as somebody that's just young or pretty. It's like a high-powered professional that can have a job, have a career, like balance shit in life, and take care of a house, which is cool. But men haven't been allowed to ever take that old caretaker position from a woman. If you go back like 40 years and a woman is like, I can take care of a house, I can like manage a family, I could do all of this stuff really well, that's cool. You're like, that's really good for you. These days, if you're a man and you say that, people are going to look at you like you're a fucking loser. Like,
well, that's why. I think we have to.
Yeah.
We have to. So that's what I see as the problem, that we need to change that rather than.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But I don't know if you can change that. I don't know if you get women to be like, hey, like, you called this guy a loser for doing the same shit that you would have fucking done 30 years ago. I don't know if that's fair or not. Like, that's a hard thing to change, you know?
Yeah,
we can teach them.
Well, I think there's a few things. What Destiny is saying is absolutely right, which is that men are selecting for attractiveness, whether they can have sex with a woman and the physical attractiveness over everything else. Women have to, and this is the discussion we had last night, so it's kind of cool. It's coming back up. Women have to select for a lot more. They have to select for a man who's sociable, oftentimes funny, because that'll fall in line. They want somebody who is, who has friends, who is successful, and who provides stability, right?
They don't have to. They just do. They are.
No, I think the reason I use have to is because throughout, evolutionary history, this is how women have controlled for sexual partners. If a woman did not select for these things in a mate, she would probably not have a stable life later on, and that would be dangerous for her. So women have selected for these traits in men. And
sexual selection changes as the environment changes. So,
but the question is, why is it not? The question is, why is it not changing in women?
I mean, it is changing. It's just slow.
Right? Yeah,
it is changing.
My worry would be that there's going to be this evolutionary mismatch, right? Where men are going to have that evolutionary mismatch between what they are called to do and what they are built to do, and with the role that society now has for them, where society saying, no, you don't have to be handsome and well-liked, and you don't have to have a well-paying job, the woman will take care of you. I think that's demeaning to a lot of men, and it's not just because, my patriarchal standards. I think it's because men want to achieve something, and they're being told by society, don't worry,
men want to dye their hair blue and suck each other's dicks too. So I don't agree with your prescription that anytime men or humans do something that you don't like, you call it degeneracy. Anytime they do something you do like or approve of, then you call it their biological or evolutionary purpose. Men are not built to do anything. No animal on Earth.
Are you sure that men aren't built to do that? Like,
I'm positive, because that's not how evolution works.
Okay. So at the beginning,
can I just finish my rebuttal and then you can all tear it apart? Men, moths, cats, none of these things are built. They're not built. They're not built to do anything. They do things. They have adaptations, and those adaptations allow them to do things, and they survive because they did the thing or because something that was the same species as them wanted to fuck them for it. But I don't agree with the framing that men are built to be a certain way, and I find it a little duplicitous.
But do you think it's plausible that men are adapted to want to go out and work and do that kind of stuff and not stay home?
I don't know. I don't think there's a way. I don't think there's a way to know the answer to that. I think clearly that's
There's definitely a way.
No, I don't think there is. I think there's because the socialization of men also is concurrent with the adaptation and the sex selection and survival pressures. So you don't know why somebody's doing what they're doing. You don't know if they're doing it because
there's ways to study these things, right? You look at cross cultures and you try to control.
Yeah, you can try to study it, but I think ultimately, I don't think there is like an answer. And then at the same time, you're trying to come up with a descriptive answer. Everybody also has a prescription that they want to put on it. So I want men and women to be equal.
Yeah, well, fuck the prescriptions. Let's look at actual data. And it's
no,
just...
I'm saying you can't. I'm saying you can't just fuck the prescriptions. I'm saying you have to admit the way you want to see it. So I'm doing that. I'm being honest with you. I'm saying I don't want to believe that men are built to go out and work. I don't want to believe that women are built to sit at home and waste away after their 20s and squirt their milk out and then die and lonely and stupid. So I don't want to believe that. I don't want to make plans for society that are based on that either, or that are based on religion, because I don't believe that there's a God.
But
our original disconnect was over the framing of like built, right? So you don't believe that people are built with like an intention or a natural law written in them. That's going to be the base disagreement. But that's also why I use anthropological verbiage.
Sometimes
right? That's why
you do, but then sometimes you say degeneracy.
And that's totally fine. I'm asking you to apply, the anthropological stuff. So evolutionary mismatch is something that is
observed. To selectively apply it.
I'm asking you.
Why don't we apply it to people being gay?
Hold on, MrGirl.
Why don't we apply it to gay people?
I'm asking you to do what you claimed I wasn't doing earlier, which is separate the rhetoric or the rhetoric of your ideology, and then select for what I'm actually trying to come to the middle with you on. And what I'm coming to the middle with you on is anthropology. So if you're talking about evolution, then I'm bringing up evolutionary mismatch, which is people with their differences, sexual or otherwise, are going to behave in a certain way in an environment and evolve for a certain duty or a certain thing or to fit a certain environment some way. So when you get these incongruencies with how society is now, people suffer psychologically when they're packed into cities. We have the obesity epidemic because humans were built to go through periods of fast and feast. When you put people in a society or in an environment where they are not evolved to fit in, they are going to suffer for that. And I'm saying maybe we should, structure our society to be in congruence with or to be in line with how people have evolved.
Okay,
that's
do you think men have evolved to dye their hair blue and lick each other's butts?
No, I think that
okay, great. So let me just hold on for a second. Mm-hmm. So when men do something that you think is good and makes you feel good and feels Christian and wholesome and great, then you think it's evolution and they're doing what they're built to do. When men do something that you think is weird, then and perverted and degenerate, then you think it's something what society has gone wrong or whatever. It's a birth defect or something. What I'm saying is, I'm not asking you to separate your ideology from the way you are viewing these things. I'm saying I think we should acknowledge that the way you are viewing this has an implied prescription that aligns perfectly with your ideology, as does mine. I'm not saying I'm objectively right. I'm saying I'm coming at this from a basically feminist perspective. I don't know if that means I'm right. I don't know if it means I'm wrong. I don't know how it's affecting how I see this or how I want it to be. I'm just telling you that that's true. And I think I just want to point out that you're doing the same thing. That's all. I'm not asking you to separate it. But clearly the way you are viewing this, as you're saying, like, well, this is true and this is how it should be, all also lines up perfectly with your Christian conservative values.
Okay, then let me split it a little bit more. Barring any of the, moral claims of this is how it should be, like the natural law stuff, this is how it is. Evolutionary mismatch exists. Differences
men
between
dye
the sexes.
Their hair blue.
Yes.
And lick the buttholes of other men. They do that.
That is first of all, that is often the case. Why is the tendency of the leftist always to go into the very vulgar and perverse, right? Like, I'm not asking you to become a Christian. I'm just saying, why is it always something so vulgar? The second part,
I don't think it's vulgar.
The answer to your question, or rather, the question I'd ask
but I don't think it's I don't think it's perverse. I literally just I don't.
I think it is vulgar.
Okay, so it's vulgar, but it's not perverse.
Okay, sure. Then it's vulgar. We can agree on that. Then I still find it very interesting that it's always resorting to very vulgar language. The question I would pose back to you is: do you think it is equally likely for a man, just in a neutral environment, to fall into a line?
What does neutral environment mean? This is what I'm saying: is you can't just say there is no such thing as a neutral hypothetical. You are all
Okay.
of this is coming through the lens of you.
Then let's go back to the first two people ever. Let's go back to
Adam
the
and
first
Eve.
human beings. Well, no. You can say whatever you want. You can say the first man that came from a chimpanzee. You can say whatever you want. The first people
the first
ever.
man that came from a chimpanzee.
What caused them to what caused men and women to split into these, social expectations that we have now? What caused that split?
A combination of genetics, in the environment, the evolutionary pressure of some people dying, and sexual selection.
Yes, selection for what? Selection for what?
And luck and random mutations, weather events, like whatever. Okay.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing here is that men and women had differences, and those differences created the split. There is a reason that there are very few matriarchal societies in the world, and it's not just because of the environment, it's because men and women are different, and that put them down different paths. So when I say that we evolved based on the way we existed, based on how humans are different from each other, when I say we evolved because of that, I'm telling you a fact. I'm not saying it's because of Adam and Eve, and I'm not saying it's because of this is right or wrong.
I'm not saying it's not a
that's
fact,
the reason
but your
for
reading
evolutionary mismatch.
reading of the facts is very informed by your beliefs. From my point of view, yes, when survival is based on who can pick up a heavier rock and smash somebody else in the head with it, and you can rape your partner, you can rape I'm not saying it's not let me fucking finish. You can rape you can rape your partner in a cave and nobody can do anything about it. These things would translate to, yes, patriarchal societies where men are dominant because being physically strong matters more. In the future, I expect we will see many more matriarchal societies.
Well, it's a little bit more different than that too, because like when you think of like society and what sort of like roles sort of select in evolutionary standards, like it's probably not a coincidence that generally men are the ones that go to war while women stay at home, because a large swath of female fighting age women dying would be really bad for society just overall in its further existence, versus like a large amount of them dying probably wouldn't really hurt the society as much unless it gets like completely taken over. But
So MrGirl, we are saying that yes, people adapt based on their environment, but you're dumbing this down to, okay, so if we have two people, then they can be shaped however they want. That's not true. The evolutionary history that brought Okay, but I think well, okay, sure. Then I'll scrap that. I think your thinking's more in line with that. I'm being hyperbolic. People are not as malleable as I think you're making them out to be. Evolutionary history is going to drive two men born at the same time to either or to be more masculine in the way we've perceived masculinity than being blue-haired people who have anal sex, right? They are more likely to be masculine because of the evolutionary pressures that have brought us here. And that's why moving away, and rather what I brought up earlier, is why moving away from evolutionary pressures and the way we have been, or the way we have adapted to exist based off of the environment we found ourselves in, is dangerous because it creates evolutionary mismatch, makes people unhappy because there's an incongruence with the way we were literally engineered, or the way we've adapted to fit our environment.
So we've done a lot of subverting the conditions that we've adapted for already, right? I find the conservatives talk about evolution like we can never ever change. Obviously, we're adapted to like smash each other over the head with rocks when we have an argument or something.
Well,
but
no,
we learn to
we
not
are
do
societally. I think like every society.
Well, we definitely did
selects
more of that in the
against that
past than we do. We used to do more of that than we do these days, right?
No, not within the society. Murder's always looked down upon in society. Any society that like looks favorably upon murderers.
War has historically been necessary for
different.
society.
War is different.
Well, smashing somebody over the head with a smash.
If
I don't think he meant smashing.
If you are in a society that is 100% okay with people just randomly fucking killing each other inside of the society,
that's not what he's talking about.
Not entirely okay. Not entirely okay. But we used to be the circumstance in which you could get away with doing that used to be more permissive, right? Like we're less likely to do a lot less of that
but
today
not
than
like
we
just
used to.
over any random argument. Like it would have to be like
No.
like even back in the
Hold
time.
on.
dueling,
Okay,
it
let's
would
chill.
have to
Hold
be,
on.
like,
My
some
understanding is
mutually
that's
agreed
actually
to.
not true. I think people used to be Hold on. I think that we're trying to say that it's gotten different, but I think it actually is 180 was way more extreme in the past. In the past, it was so important to have well-functioning societies that oftentimes the punishment would be way the fuck over the top because a lot of it you couldn't catch. One of the things that's often quoted is people say that like an eye for an eye is bad, an eye for an eye leaves the world blind. My understanding is that biblically, when that concept was introduced, an eye for an eye, that was actually supposed to be a great deal of mercy, because it would be the case in the past that like if people were stealing shit from you, you would fucking kill them and maybe their entire family or tribe.
Well, no, stealing,
but then the idea, no. That's when religious rules started to have some more structure. They'd cut your hand off. But that was to instill some amount of order. That was to instantiate some type of like retributive justice that wasn't just we're going to kill your entire tribe because we caught your brother stealing horses from us or some shit. So I think that in the past it has been the case that people realize that like chaos and mayhem and murderers and thieves are so incongruent with society that we are going to bring down holy hell and destroy you if we think you're doing it. I think we've gotten like less extreme in terms of that. I don't think we've ever tolerated that at large in society.
Well, I mean, that seems to me like a good example of subverting our sort of more primitive instincts. The fact that we're not so incredibly brutal with our punishments.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Because back in like the primal lizard brain times, if you didn't react with that, you're going to just die out. So
I don't
again,
think
like
our brains were significantly different from how they were the last time we were
Being that we
smashing
just-
each other's
Being that we just touched on religion, would this be a good point for us to move on to the third topic?
I had a bonus topic.
Retort
Are we going to get to the bonus topic?
We may, Mr. Girl. We're going to get to the third topic first, okay?
To retort to what Mr. Girl would say, I would say that like there was probably a lot more people that were selected against when they actually had that sort of response. Like I think that we like it just overall through society have selected for people that have a little bit more rational thinking and don't just randomly fucking kill people.
Well, if you smash somebody
small
else's
disagreements.
brain with a rock, I think
Yeah.
that act selects for yourself. So
Okay.
I don't know if
Not,
I-
but
All
not
right,
in society,
both of
because
you
if
shut
you're in a
up. We're
society
moving
that
on to the third
doesn't
topic
tolerate
now.
That, you get
Shut up!
Yeah.
Well,
Shut up!
executing somebody also
What
selects
did
for
I
murder.
say? What did I tell you
then
about
you're just-
talking? What did I tell you about talking while I'm talking?
Dusty, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So, third topic. Religion is the source of morality for a lot of people. Does it have enough effect in politics? Why do we see immorality in our possibly Christian leaders? For example, Trump and Biden.
I'll talk about this in just a second. I gotta go pee.
Okay.
I guess I'll go. I think that religion definitely informs on people's like overall moralistic structure, and I guess it is an important thing for like a lot of people. I think that when it comes to leaders, I think leaders are a little bit more cynical minded. They'll use pretty much anything that they can use to get elected. And, you know, you'll have people that just sort of look the other way, whether it be Trump through his like variety of divorces, or Biden like seemingly being a or on paper being a staunch Catholic, but then going like against pretty much every standard thing of Catholic doctrine when it comes to like abortion or other issues. It's a by in fact of nature that people are going to do this. I don't think people who are politically minded are going to be like the most moral people. I think they're going to be people who are willing to do whatever it takes to win.
If religion is the source of morality for that many people, I think religion is more about, whatever you think is right to do. We'll find a reason to say that the religion is what made you do that, right? Religion is more
I agree with that. It feels like a secondary explanation. I reject. I feel like this is just going to turn into a "is God real" debate once Kai comes back. But it just feels like a chicken or the egg thing, and I agree with what you just said.
I think morality comes from social norms, which sort of evolve culturally, similar to how language emerges, right? It's this thing that's sort of constructed between us and negotiate it.
What was the question again?
If religion is the source of morality for a lot of people, does it have enough effect in politics? And why do we see immorality in our Christian leaders like Trump and Biden? This is more of like a question that was more kind of to bait kind of Kai and Flamenco. Sorry. So yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
no. What? The question
little
about
bit.
Trump and Christianity is
Yeah.
bait? No.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't work, Stardust.
Yeah. I mean,
gotta be
the
sneakier
easy
than that,
answer
debate
is
these
like,
guys.
I'm not voting for Trump because he's like a symbol of Christendom or anything like that. I approve, or I disapprove of his divorces. I disapprove of like the degenerate stuff he does. Any Christian should. Any Christian that doesn't, should consider whether they think that's a sin or not, and if their politics are overshadowing their faith. One thing I'm a big proponent of is finding your faith before you find your politics. A lot of the times people will pick up these like faith prescriptions as a offshoot of their politics, and they'll trade them out the same way they might trade out political views. And that's not a good thing. I think you should find a more stable foundation in Christ or whoever it is you worship.
Wow.
Right. Well,
All right. Good night, guys.
Mr. Girl had
There's
a
one. Yeah.
bonus topic he wanted to bring in. It's up to you guys if you want to go with this one, but
I'm good with either.
I'll leave it with Mr. Girl now with his bonus
I
topic.
wanted to talk about Lolly.
Oh no.
Oh yes. Oh yes. I want to talk about, is it immoral? Is it wrong? Is it sick? Is it bad for society? Should you be castigated by a group of your peers if you were to consume it and they were to find out about it? Also, just how are you doing? I want to have a combination of an interview and like a big fight. I'm on your side, Flamenco.
Their backstory here, we should be aware.
How does it feel to have such
Okay.
great allies, Flamenco?
Wait, yeah,
I feel
does
like
everybody-
I want to
does-
shoot
does-
myself? Lol.
Okay, I can explain. I'll explain what happened, and you tell me if I'm wrong. 'Cause
Yeah.
okay. You have, you were allowing some of your friends to review some adult material that you had consumed.
By the
I
way-
didn't. No.
Are they friends? Are they
No,
friends,
people of my Discord apparently took it upon themselves, and like
To
I've been
review-
told I've been told by like multiple people the things that I was looking at was not like lolly or whatever. I already knew
That's fine.
this.
Okay.
I guess in terms of Mr. Girl's question, I do believe that lolly is pretty. immoral.
Wait. We still have to explain what happened. You've been called out by the commentary community as a consumer of
Well, I've
lolly.
been called out I've been called
Okay.
out by a retarded 17-year-old communist, but yeah.
Okay, you've been called out by a retarded 17-year-old communist for consuming lolly, but this narrative has caught fire, and the people depicted in this lolly were actually like high school age. Is that correct?
I
Like 15 or-
have no clue, dude.
Well, the last I heard, from the last analysis I heard, and I have people working on this, they were 15 or something. So, well, let's assume I'm calling it
People
lolly for
working
short.
on
but-
this?
Yeah, I
top
have
men
like a
are
lot.
working
I
on
don't like.
this.
Is it
Yeah,
unsurprising? Is it unsurprising?
I have like an empire of like agents underneath me that they're scuttling around,
Watching
and
lolly
looking-
porn.
looking-
Yeah.
Oh my
One's looking-
god.
yeah, that's just part of their job. So
It's in the job description.
yeah,
They're
so
interns.
okay, so 15.
do you like put
so,
that on the tax returns or like
Yes.
what's going on with that? Oh, okay.
absolutely. So 15-year-old kids depicted having sex with, I think, adults in this.
I have
story.
no clue, honestly.
You have no clue. Yeah, you just.
I have no clue.
you
This
just-
is
you
something I
used
looked
it-
at
you-
maybe
you-
like
you use
8
it and you
years
lose
ago. 8 years
Yeah.
ago, I think. Yeah.
Sure, I don't care how long it was. You could do it 8 minutes ago. I'm not gonna judge you. It's me. So, you've been kind of dragged across the coals for this.
Just a bit. To some extent, anyway. I think like a lot of people that are really harping on it are people who were already predisposed to not liking me in the first place.
Okay. Well, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, honestly.
You're taking it pretty well.
I mean,
He
like
is.
honestly, at this point, from my experience on the internet, when it comes to these sorts of things, you can do one of two things. You can get like really, really defensive, and you can start like chimping out and start like yelling at everybody, whoever brings it up.
Yeah, it's
That's
bad.
just going to lead to it like happening more. Or you can, you know, just take your lumps, roll with the punches, laugh it off, and eventually people get bored.
I think you did really well on that show on Kino Casino.
Yeah.
Despite all of the ragging they were doing on you,
I think I came off good because Ethan Ralph like drunkenly came in and stumbled all over himself and gave me like the easiest W ever.
Okay, Flamenco, here's a question. Do you yourself think there is any ethical issues with, let's say that my 15-year-old analysis is correct. Are there any ethical issues with consuming illustrated material depicting 15-year-olds having sex with each other or adults?
I think it can be indicative of some bad stuff. I think that I
don't mean mental health. I'm saying, is it immoral? I understand. I see. So you're saying it could mean that you have some kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that.
Do you think it's immoral? Do you think it's wrong?
When it comes to like immorality, I think that the lack of like an actual victim kind of plays into like some part of it, but like overall, I think it kind of indicates some negative qualities that you might want to be like wary of, especially from an individual.
Okay, but you don't think you think it is.
And I fundamentally think that like the distribution of it should probably be disallowed.
Okay, so you think it should be illegal, but you think consuming it is not immoral.
The act of itself of consuming it, probably not.
Okay, so I could just right after this stream, I could just go to town with some 15-year-old, illustrated depictions, and you don't think there might be something wrong with me, but there's nothing inherently wrong like with it from a moral standpoint.
Yeah, like I generally, like in terms of morality, I just generally tend to think of like, okay, who's being hurt by this, and given the fact that there's nothing like there's no actual person. Like the reason why we like disallow the production of child pornography worldwide is because it's like literally impossible to produce it without hurting a child.
Okay. I agree with you.
Yeah, but but I still think that it should be like discouraged. I don't know. And I'm never really put any sort of like hardcore theological or moralistic thought towards this.
Okay. Well, does anybody else want to weigh in?
Who the fuck cares? I don't think you can turn yourself into a pedophile watching fucking Lolicon. If you want to watch Lolly and jerk off to shit, who the fuck cares? I don't care. Let people knock themselves out.
Yeah, I don't think it's unethical to draw pictures of unethical things. I don't think it's unethical to jerk off to pictures of unethical things that are fake. At the end of the day, may not be psychologically healthy, but it's not unethical.
I would like kind of agree, but I do think I think one pretty decent example on this is there's an internet artist known as Shadman who is kind of well known. Apparently he got out on bail or something. I don't know, because he like assaulted his roommate or something with a knife or some shit. But like one of the more infamous things that he did was that he drew a depiction of, I believe, Keemstar's daughter, who was like 9 years old at the time, as well as the Logan's actress Daphne Keane or somebody. And I think that probably leads into some pretty immoral implications.
You're
creating like a depiction of an actual person.
Yeah, that's like harassment or whatever. But that's not the
Well, I don't even know if it's just that harassment. I would say that it has like some like even worse like.
Well, it can, if there is a victim, it can affect another person. But so I want to keep it purely theoretical.
What if you draw child porn and it ends up inadvertently looking like another person you've never seen before?
Yeah, that could freak somebody out.
Might be why the reason
Kai
why
looks like he
video
wants to
games
say
have
something.
the disclaimer of.
I think
I
feel
think
like
Kai wants to say something. Yeah, Kai.
What's up, Kai? How you doing over there, dude?
I'm doing wonderful, man.
What do you think about simulated child porn, Lolicon?
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe I should have joined the ANCAP friend at the beginning.
Yeah, seriously, right?
No, if you're conflicted and you don't know what you think about
No,
this,
I know exactly
mixed
what
feelings.
I think.
I can totally understand.
I'm surprised that there's not more support. So, I mean, this is kind of a general view. I think that when society starts to allow things that are, in my opinion, morally harmful or like spiritually harmful. And of course, Mr. Girl, this is my, personal conservative Christian perspective.
Yeah.
I think it
We're
starts
all-
to
we're all
decay
human.
like the fabric of the society. I have kind of the Burkean perspective that society is like a living organism. And if you feed that living organism like a lot of crap, whether or not it is like producing a harm to individuals, it will harm the society, degrade it, and the people either become unproductive and lazy at best, or will become like really messed up people at worst. And I think the question, or the thing that you guys were mentioning rhetorically is, maybe you're a messed up person. I think we can mess up society by allowing this kind of behavior to permeate. And I think we take legislative stances that way. Whether or not the legislative stances have an effect on like the amount of child pornography, there is a influence that just making something illegal will have on its perception and the societal, health, in my opinion.
Like letting
Okay,
people
so you
not
think-
vote, right? It's just, it might be their right, but it's just really unhealthy for society to do that. So we should make
people
lolly
voting.
illegal and make voting mandatory.
I think the worst
Okay.
thing that happened to society is people voting for the wrong people.
Okay, what do you think that the illustrated age of consent should be? So do you think that 18-year-olds should be able to be in porn, like real porn?
I don't think real porn should exist, so no.
Do you think it should be illegal to make porn?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think it should be illegal to make illustrated porn?
Yes.
Do you think it should be illegal to write a passage in a book that gives going to give the
Erotica.
average
Yeah.
person a boner? Yeah, erotica.
I know the part that you're getting down to.
No, I'm not
it's-
getting. I'm honestly no. I'm not making an argument. It's not a trap. I'm not tricking you. I'm actually.
okay.
I just
Well,
wanna
then
know what
whether
you
or
think.
not you're making an argument, like that's kind of the typical route people explore. And this was the Supreme Court. They had kind of the same thing where they were exploring this. It comes down to when you see it. It would probably be a case by case thing, but the general the general thing would fall under the Miller test. Anything that is, explicit or obscene or particularly vulgar should not be allowed under the freedom of speech. And then we would have to go by a case-by-case basis. But at least we should break up porn conglomerates. We should crack down on the distribution of it
Wait, no.
online or on paper.
Wait. Let me. Can I feel out the edge here?
Yeah,
I wanna
sure,
understand
if you don't
where-
use that
where-
terminology again.
Can I edge out? Okay. Can I edge out the feels here? I don't know how you want me to say this.
He's gonna phrase
with-
it in a suggestive way. It's inevitable.
Okay.
He's
Thank you for
he's
that.
mentioned like penises like 4 times on his own accord
Okay.
so far.
Okay. So with writing, if I write a story that is for the purpose of sexually arousing the viewer or reader, you think that should be illegal?
I think there's a few different kind of boundaries here because there's material that I think, of course, it might sexually arouse some and it might not sexually
If I
arouse
write
others.
a story for the purpose of sexually arousing the reader,
Yes, if the intention of it is to be pornographic, yeah, I don't think that should happen.
you think it should be illegal?
There I'd have to think about it a little more, but I don't think it should happen. So I'll take like my own personal stance about what I think about it, and then I'll say, the legal implications I have to consider more.
Okay. So you don't think it should happen, but you're not sure if you think the government should stop it.
I would have to feel out the kind of metrics that would be applied there because I think it's a lot easier to do with.
Well, let's just say an
visual material.
all-and-out
Also,
smutty
the,
story, a smutty story
enforcement
about a.
apparatus.
I think
Yeah,
there,
but
there
about-
should be no lusty Argonian maid. I think we should stop the distribution of this pornographic material.
Yeah, but I'm saying if tonight at my computer I type out a pornographic story, very vulgar, no one under 18 involved, but just people fucking each other, fucking their parents, fucking
Yeah, I
their
don't- yeah,
friends,
I
fucking.
don't think that should be published.
Do you think it should be legal for me to write it?
Well, this is an interesting thing. I think it should be illegal. I don't necessarily think there needs to be enforcement, right? So this is with laws around like I think there's still like 23 states in the country that have laws against adultery. They have a ton of laws against sexual promiscuity and whatnot. The state of Utah, my great state, banned or had banned premarital sex up until I think 2019 is when they overturned that law. And I think that was when Utah really started the Great Decline.
Son,
but
I just want you to answer the question. Do you think it should be illegal for me to write an erotic story of
Yes,
my
I
own
think so. I think
volition?
so.
Okay. You don't think it should be enforced though?
I think that the enforcement's kind of irrelevant.
Well, will you answer about whether you think it should be enforced or you will not answer?
No, I just, for me, it's like if it's enforced, Sure,
You're
but
okay with
there's
it being
so
enforced?
there are yes, but there are so many like privacy things that would come in. Like if you're writing something like in your
No, I
house,
dox myself. It pops up on my stream, and I accidentally dox myself. It was not my intention to distribute to anybody. Let's say I sent it to Stardust, and Stardust is a good citizen. Stardust, she says, well, you know,
Yeah,
reading
no,
the story,
no,
it's
I
making it's
think-
making me feel like it's making me quiver, so I should report this. So then, sorry, Stardust. So then she reports it, and she sends it to the police, and the police say, did you write the story? And I say, well, yeah, I did. Do you think that they should? I should be charged with a crime for doing
Yeah,
that?
sure. And that would be consistent with like the stuff we have about, pornography. If you accidentally send, pornographic images of a significant other, for instance, to somebody else, you can be held accountable for that because it's, it qualifies as like a breach of privacy. So I think so. Yeah.
How dare you?
Okay. I know. I would
Well-
never send you compromising material that would get us both arrested.
By the way, the reason I say it's kind
Why
of
are you
irrelevant
phrasing
about,
it like
about
that?
the
What's wrong with you? It's so strange.
what's wrong with him? Well, where to start? Well,
Wait,
the
you
reason
said
I
how
say-
dare you? I thought you were talking. I thought you were wanted me to like apologize or something.
Anyway, the
No,
reason
I'm
I
just
say
joking.
the enforcement's kind of irrelevant is not to obfuscate, but rather because there are so many things that would probably stop that from happening. Like I mentioned, like the privacy stuff. In your hypothetical, though, yeah, the enforcement would be allowed.
Okay.
I think we've reached a natural stopping point, guys.
I think we've reached an unnatural, uncomfortable stopping point. Every single person.
You
on the
are
panel
making me
disagrees.
uncomfortable. You're right about
I
that.
can.
Well-
Well, we want to talk about it. We don't have to talk about it. That's fine.
Look, I'm gonna be here for a while, so feel free to continue. But also, I don't want any of you, if you have things to do, I don't want you to feel like you have to stay either. So yeah, I will be here regardless. So
Wow.
this is very
we're
awkward.
all-
Why
we're all-
why are you
This-
guys
yeah,
doing
the
this to me?
silence is just getting
This is
longer and
making-
awkwarder.
you're just
Holy
making this
shit.
worse.
It's awkward because you derailed the conversation. But
I'm
then didn't
sorry.
end it. You
I
didn't
just
end the
wanted to
panel
give
and then
people a
you didn't say-
natural out if they wanted an out. Okay, I'm sorry for being generous with people.
I'm not fucking
Really?
going anywhere.
Again?
It's so-
I'm
it-
going
the
Democratic. I asked the
silence
chat.
is just so fucking
We're-
heavy.
We're solving at
Ah.
least one of the problems we've talked about tonight before this panel ends. How about that?
Oh yeah,
Which
yeah.
one do you think it's gonna
Destiny.
be?
My chat wants me to talk to you about book smarts.
Oh boy. Oh, I wanted to talk to you about your hyper autistic thing about giving compliments, but
Yeah.
Oh no! Wait, what?
wanna
I
hear
feel
this.
like
I wanna
we're in.
hear
I
the
feel like we're in an.
compliment
I feel like we're in an argument, but not about.
well, the
compliments.
argument, I just watch stuff sometimes. I'm like, oh, I disagree with this. If you want to feel like we're in an argument, you can. But
What is this? What is this take on compliments? Or
Why are you
whatever?
so nosy?
Well, no,
I don't
I'm actually curious too. What it is like tism.
Okay, so
issue
the
with
two things. So
compliments is.
really quickly, Booksmart said that Destiny should be banned from Twitter because Twitter banned Destiny. That literally was his entire argument. He said that because Destiny's ban evading, he should be banned. So, but therefore, anybody who Twitter bans should be banned. And then he was unwilling to say that it's specific to anything Destiny has ever said or done. There's really not much to say about that other than it doesn't make any sense. I told Lauren Southern that
Well,
I have never.
I think that makes sense.
Well, he's just. Well, then why are you talking about Destiny specifically? If your only statement is, I
Well-
think Twitter is good at banning people, and when they ban people, I agree with them. So because Destiny was banned, therefore I think he should be banned too, because I agree with Twitter anytime they ban somebody. It's like it's
Yeah, it's
there's no
stupid.
point
Like
in-
it's totally stupid, but it makes sense. Like
But
he's
that's
just a
not-
snitch.
Well, that's not. Yeah, but that's not really what he's saying. He's just saying he's saying that to avoid what he's really saying, which is that he thinks Destiny is toxic and should be banned from Twitter.
Oh well.
But he
yeah.
won't like own his position, so there's no point in.
Oh
talking
yeah,
about
then
it.
that's dumb. Yeah.
Okay. I told Lawrence Southern that I've never complimented my girlfriend.
Hmm.
And this is true. I've never complimented her physical appearance, and I don't think I've ever complimented her in any way, because I don't like being in the role of evaluating her, and I resent that, and it feels weird to me. I don't like the idea that it's an compliments feel slimy to me, because when you compliment somebody, you're enjoying it yourself. You're saying it to make yourself feel good to some extent, but you're pretending that really you're just trying to make them feel good.
Does she
And so
compliment you?
for those,
I
you
have
sure
a
that's-
question, by the way.
Oh,
in a
really?
minute.
She's learned-
Wait,
she's
he's
learned-
answering my
she's-
question first. He's answering my
She-
question
she
first.
I said in a minute. No, no.
She has
no
learned
worries,
to
sweetie.
never compliment me
I'm sorry, what did you say?
because I fucking hate it.
She's learned. What did you say? She's learned to not.
Oh, she has learned to never compliment me. yeah.
Okay. All right.
I find I don't feel like I'm complimenting. When I compliment something, I don't feel like I'm getting something out of it. I always feel like, in fact, it's kind of the opposite. I have to push myself to compliment people because I don't know, it feels bad to me in some weird way. But I think
Why?
I should. I don't know. That's interesting question. But I don't feel like I'm. So when you compliment something, it feels like you're sort of like a construction worker, like catcalling a woman walking by, and that's always what it feels like.
No. It doesn't feel like that. It's just that I know that's part of it. So I know that following the rush of like, oh, he thinks he said I have like I have nice breasts today or something or whatever. that you're by putting myself in the role of evaluator. When I don't say it, that means something. When I say it, it's like, why did he say it now? It means something. There's just too many other things going on that I feel like there's no reason. Like I can make my girlfriend feel good about her body without making objective statements about it.
There's definitely a lot of bad reasons to compliment someone, but I still feel like, at the right time, for the right reason, compliments can be good. Like sometimes people just sometimes there's just something people need to know about themselves that's good, and they don't know it.
Okay,
and
I don't think a compliment is an effective mechanism for making somebody know something about themselves.
But
I
the
don't
problem is,
think
okay,
it's
hold on,
a-
wait, real quick.
Yeah,
Before
I want to hop in after Destiny.
Yeah, you can. Okay, the problem is that statement is just wrong, right? What is an effective thing
No.
in making somebody? Well, yes, you don't get to say
No.
it because what makes somebody feels good is going to be subjective in their mind. That's outside of the domain of what you can make statements on. So if it is the case that making a statement about somebody's body makes them feel good, it's not really on you to say, well, I don't think that actually makes you feel good. And if you want to try to do some weird, like, objective third-party observer for it, you could technically retroactively apply this logic to literally every single action, right? You could say, I don't need to compliment your body because I think that's unnecessary to make you, feel good. Oh, well, what do you like to do instead? Well, I like to touch your body to make you feel good. It's like, well, don't you just touch it then? Isn't that like a self-serving act? Like, couldn't I reductively or retroactively? So then at that point, you shouldn't do anything to anybody. We should all just sit in a box and die because everything
My problem
we do is
isn't that
ultimately
it's
self-serving.
My problem isn't that it's self-serving. It's that our cultural narrative around compliments is that they're not self-serving. That you're paying someone a compliment, you're doing something for them to make them feel good. But I don't believe that that's true enough to actually do it. And I don't think compliments are an effective way to make somebody feel good about their body or their intelligence or whatever. You said yourself that in your stream, you said you don't like compliments.
I don't like compliments, but I'm not autistic enough to project my own thing onto every other person. I've interacted with way too many women to know how stupid it would be for me to say that you shouldn't compliment people. It's like
They
one of the
think
most
they like
important,
compliments.
no, they do like compliments. People
I don't
like
think so.
it. Well, you're wrong.
I'm not wrong.
You are wrong. You are wrong. What?
No,
You're wrong.
No.
I think
don't
you're wrong.
I am.
People
you're
generally
wrong.
like specific.
Well, we don't
compliments.
listen to women on this stuff. Like
People like
right.
compliments
I'm
because it makes them
wrong.
feel good, or because it can give
Sorry.
them some access to your mind that they might not otherwise have. Oh, cool, he complimented me. It means he thinks I look nice. That's cool. I'm glad that I know that.
But
I'm
it
glad that
doesn't
you like
really.
compliment.
It doesn't really mean that. It just means you said that. Like there's so many other.
yeah, but
people-
why-
women?
but
Maybe
there's-
women just don't like it when you compliment.
There's
them.
a
Girl, maybe that's
precondition.
what it is.
There's a precondition to you saying that. When you say that, you're communicating a specific mental state to a person. If I tell somebody I love you, they're not happy because I said the words I love you. They're happy because there's a necessary preconditioned state of mind that I have to even utter those words. Much the same as there would be for me to give a compliment to somebody. I must think
also-
they're beautiful if I'm saying
I don't.
There's also the aspect
I don't.
of.
I just don't agree that there's a mental state that is a precondition for saying those words of you look pretty.
Well,
I
if
think you
somebody
can
doesn't
say
think
that.
you're
You can say
genuine,
that.
you could. But if somebody thinks you're not genuine, then they won't think it's a good compliment.
But
You-
they're,
Yeah,
going to
if you let-
evaluate, they're going to evaluate whether you're genuine by cross-referencing what you're saying with the totality of your behavior. So if you treat your girlfriend like you think she's ugly, when you say she's pretty, it's not going to mean anything. If you treat your girlfriend like you think she's pretty and then you say she's pretty, it's also not going to mean anything.
That's
So
the-
I just think it.
I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. I agree with you for how I process things, but you're dead wrong when it comes to other people. When people compliment me, my thought process is, I don't give a fuck. I don't need you to compliment me on an achievement. I achieved it. I know that it's good. I don't need you to tell me it's good. And when Melina says things like, "Oh, I think you're handsome," obviously you think I look good. You're fucking dating me, or we're married. If you thought I looked hideous, you wouldn't be fucking married to me. Obviously,
but it goes beyond meaningless. It makes you angry.
No, me, because I'm autistic. But not everybody else is autistic.
You're not autistic, though.
I am autistic.
I don't think you are.
I'm hyper autistic. I'm ultra autistic, okay? I make up words to describe how autistic I am. Yes.
Are we only talking about
I think that
like
there's-
intimate relationships, or are we also
Well, I
talking
think
about like
it's-
more casual
I
friendships?
think in general relationships too,
Both.
like compliments can be like really good. I think like the main reason that I think compliments are generally good is a lot of our like self-image and our self-worth is sort of determined on like how other people see us or how we perceive other people see us.
Okay, let me just be clear.
Let me finish. So I think that like a simple affirmation that's like completely like independent from any other sort of thing being said at the moment of, hey, yeah, I actually think you are a nice person. Hey, I think you are actually pretty smart. I think you are like this. It kind of feeds into our own self-image and it can make us feel good. And I think that's like a decent like reason to do it.
I don't agree that compliments are an effective tool for accomplishing that task. I don't think that is true. I think if you have if you have a friend who thinks you're smart and treats you like they think you're smart, that will be 99% of how that relationship makes you feel about your own intelligence, versus them saying, I really like talking to you. I think you're really smart. It just doesn't mean anything compared to the rest of the relationship.
But what if you don't have the opportunity
this.
to treat
What if-
to treat people like?
Well, what if there are
with a
different
friend or family?
What
I
if
mean, I
there are
spend a lot of
different
time with
love
them to like
languages?
convey that, right?
What if
Yeah,
there's
the love
different love
languages, but,
languages?
like, I hate to use anecdotal shit, but if that's what we're gonna do, that's what we're gonna do. I love Melina's body. I touch her boobs. I hug her every day. I see her. Blah 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 blah. I do not think in terms of compliments. I don't. It's just I never think that because I fucking hate them. But I will have it so that at the end of like a week, like Melina will complain and be like, "Hey, I don't know if you think I'm beautiful. Like, it feels like you've never say anything to me." It's like, what are you talking about? Like I hug you, I grab you, I touch you like every fucking time I see you. And she's like, "Yeah, but I like to hear it sometimes." And that I've heard that repeated ad nauseum from a billion different women. Not that many, but I'm exaggerating. But like they're like some people are wired that they like to hear compliments. It just feels good. Even if you show them in every other way. And I know that your mind is instantly thinking like, well, it's actually because you're not showing her physically enough. I'm the most physically wired.
No, that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say I think it's an addiction. It's an unsatisfying itch. How many compliments? Melina gets more compliments about her body than all these people on this panel combined every day that we'll ever get for our entire lives.
No, don't. You're smart enough to know how stupid what you just said was. Most of those compliments from random creeps don't mean anything. Yeah, just like a woman being dog whistled at doesn't mean the same as a compliment.
But at the same time, right? It could mean a lot.
It's literally the comic, Mr.
Well, how is
Girl.
How is a coerced compliment from you, who has every inclination to say it when you don't mean it, in a way where you don't mean it? You're saying it through gritted teeth. Even if you believe that she has a nice body and you love her body, you're saying it because you're being coerced into saying it. How is that going to mean more than somebody genuine saying?
It's the comic, dude. The attractive HR guy and then the unattractive HR guy. It's literally what it is. But like,
it's not coerced. It's that
it is. It's forced.
No, that is so one-dimensional. Stop. If you're in a relationship with somebody and they really like oral sex and you don't like it that much, you're like indifferent to it, sometimes you'll do it for your partner because you know that it makes them feel good. You're not being fucking coerced. It's not like, oh my God, like this person.
Wait.
Mr. Girl's an egoist? What the?
You're saying that receiving a compliment from Melina is so pleasurable that even if she knows that you don't really feel like giving it, even though you already said that the reason a compliment is meaningful is because it's a betrayal of the internal mental state of the person giving it, meaning you have to mean it for it to feel good. That's not true of a blowjob. An insincere blowjob can still feel pretty fucking good, Steven.
It's not a betrayal of the internal process.
I'm saying a revelation of the internal thoughts of the person saying it.
It has nothing to do with the revelation.
Can you imagine you telling me like, "Hey Max, tell me that I'm smart," and how you'd fucking feel after I said it because you asked me to? How does asking for a compliment not completely hollow out?
Because it's hard to give the compliment doesn't mean it's not true, right?
Do you do like programming? Can I talk about like computers? If I have like a big database, okay, and there's like 6 different APIs that you can connect to get information out of this database, okay? The person doesn't want you to give you information that's not in the database. They just want you to hook into a different API. They might like to connect with this one. They might like to connect with that one. They know that the information's in here. They just like the connection sometimes, right? They like that you give them hugs, that you show them other things, but they like to hear a compliment. Some people just like to hear compliments. That's it. They're not telling you to invent something fictitious inside the database. They just want to access it through a certain channel. That's what they want.
Yeah, but it's not that you like her body that's fictitious. It's that you are deciding to say it. She's telling you to say it.
Okay.
So how is that meaningful if she's telling you when to say it?
If it wasn't meaningful, then why would she ask?
Well, that's my whole point.
If somebody says, here's a question. If somebody says they like flowers, but you don't normally buy flowers, but then you buy flowers for somebody, is that meaningless?
No. But if somebody says, buy me that flower, and then you say,
okay, hold on. That's exactly what they're saying when they say, I like flowers. What if they just say, I like compliments? It's the same thing,
okay,
right?
But you see the difference between I like flowers, wink, wink, and then you say, oh, well, I'll get you. I didn't know you like flowers. Now I know I'll get you a flower. Versus buy me that flower right now, and then you say, oh,
it's that women work in the prior way. Women work in the prior way. Women will not explicitly say what they want. That's not how they work. They will
apparently
and men will work differently, which is why men won't pick up on the hints.
I think what Melina is doing is not yes. If you pick up on the hint, then it feels to a woman, even though this is probably not true. It feels more like it's coming from inside you. But it sounds like what Melina is doing is, oh, it's been a week, so I'm going to tell you it's time for my compliment.
Okay,
which to me is the same as saying, buy me that flower right now.
Normal human beings need regular intakes of like good things. Right? You wouldn't take a person who's 22 years old and say, you've socialized a lot. It's time for you to be fucking isolated for 3 years. How can you complain? You've been talking to people for so long. You need a constant feed of this type of stuff. It's like how we survive emotionally, most people.
Okay, so my answer to this is that I think that a lot of people conflate compliments with warmth. And that compliments, especially from men to women and fathers to daughters, maybe more so than any other relationship, compliments are the delivery mechanism of warmth and affection. So I think a lot of women get socialized to think, okay, so therefore I just need a stream of compliments. But there's no amount of that will ever fucking satisfy them.
Here's
I think it's a hollow pursuit.
Okay, we're going back and forth. Okay, listen. Fine, I will tell you, as somebody that was a quasi-sociopath in my early 20s, okay? If you want to find a way to manipulate women to get what you want out of them in the most horrible way possible, the easiest way to do that is through compliments. People love
I believe
to hear
that is
you say
because
through giving and also withholding.
But that's because they're unsatisfying. That's because
no, that's not. It's because they're ultimately satisfying. Because if
I
there's
don't
somebody
think they are.
Okay, well, okay. Fine. All right.
The easiest way to manipulate a woman,
they are, though.
The easiest way to sexually manipulate somebody is to dangle something in front of them that never ultimately satisfies them. That's why on OnlyFans, as soon as you show your vagina, you lose your fan base. You have to never satisfy the person to keep them giving you money.
No, I don't think that's what causes
There's
that
a lot
to
of people that
happen.
show full nudity on fucking
I think it's when you start saying, oh, by the way, I have a boyfriend, is when you start losing
okay,
it.
whatever. My point is that if you're trying to create that addictive experiences are never ultimately satisfying. Drinking or porn or whatever thing you're addicted to, you're not addicted to it because it's scratching your itch. You're addicted to it because it's not scratching your itch. And I postulate that women get addicted to compliments, but that's different from them actually receiving the true whatever they're looking for through the vehicle of compliments.
Okay.
I would agree with
it's
those kind of
ultimately empty,
compliments,
which I think is why you don't like
good.
them and why I don't like them. They're empty.
I don't know what
But
you're
I don't
saying,
think all
but you
compliments
made a
are
really
like
good
that.
case for why pornography is so damaging that most people don't make, which is that it's not about the ultimate pleasure. It is about often chasing the reward and how it rewires your reward circuitry to chase it permanently.
I won't go that far, but I agree that some people have.
True. That's scientific.
Well, it's not literally just something you fucking heard and you're saying now, but I agree with you partially.
I've read the research.
I've read research that says that you're full of shit.
Okay, what's the
agree with-
research?
okay.
You want to go toe to toe on the research
I-
about how
no,
it
I
rewires?
Pretty
don't
sure you have to
agree-
be careful when it comes to rewiring brains because I'm pretty sure literally anything rewires the brain. That like by the process of us engaging in activity at like video games where we will rewire the brain. Playing too much sports probably rewires the brain. Like
Yes,
any
yeah,
behavior
but-
that you're going to
but
engage in
the-
repeatedly.
My point.
The
So the way
difference,
I
though,
see
is
it,
that there's a supernatural stimuli. Sorry, I'm fumbling over my words. Where you are literally biologically driven to sex. So if you make the thing you're chasing something that you have a biological drive to achieve, that becomes dangerous. Which is why people will gorge themselves on food, and the only limiting factor is the size of their stomach.
Okay, listen, I understand that you're smart and that you have read research about this, but I'm telling you that the way you filter this information into your brain and out through your mouth is also going through a filter of your religious and
I'm
political
about
beliefs.
to filter my brain all over the wall if you write off something true that I'm saying by saying that I'm a Christian and a conservative one more time.
You're filtering everything you're saying because you're a Christian, you're a conservative.
Let me
But
find
I'm
it.
also filtering what I'm saying through my perspective. So what I'm trying to say is I agree with the facts of what you're saying, but my perspective is different from yours. My perspective is that you can form a relationship with pornography that is much like what you're describing. I don't think everyone's relationship with pornography is like this, but you can form a relationship where it is an endless addiction that never actually satisfies you. And I think that's how a lot of women are with
That's how, like,
compliments. And I
all
don't think the
addiction is.
answer, I don't think
Your
the solution to
ideology
that
is based on the exceptions rather than the rule.
I have a
You're
question.
like saying, well, not everybody's going to have a harmful relationship with heroin. It's like, yeah, but most do because most people.
I don't
are
think most people
susceptible
have a
to that.
harmful relationship
I have a
with pornography.
question for
I think
Mr.
most
Girl.
people just jerk off and then do.
I think
go
most
about their
people
day.
have problems perceiving it. That's called the what is it? Personally perceived pornography, or perceived. I don't know. There's like 4 P's or something, but I think it's the problem is that people are told you can't be addicted to pornography. So no kidding, people aren't going to say they're addicted to pornography. But
That's
their
fair.
porn use is
I agree.
insane.
That is a valid perspective. I just don't agree with you.
All right,
Yeah,
Mr.
because I'm a
Girl,
Christian and a conservative.
you
can't have a healthy relationship with compliments.
You don't
Right.
you don't compliment
Yes.
you don't compliment your girlfriend because you think that
No.
it's giving her something that is not eventually going to satisfy her. Do you tell your girlfriend that you love her?
Yes.
Do you let her tell you that she loves you?
Yeah.
How disgustingly performative.
Do you think do you think
I've
that
never told her to tell me
Wait
she
a-
loves
wait a
me, and
minute. Wait a minute,
yeah.
let me finish, okay?
Okay.
Do you think that at some point, because you still need to keep hearing "I love you" from her, right, to reaffirm that she loves you?
Probably not, but
I don't know. I would think about that one.
I don't buy that.
I would
I'll
think
say
about
my-
that
my
one.
ex-
Okay,
my-
so your girlfriend stops
I'll say
telling
that
you
my
that
I
she
didn't tell
loves
my
you for like
my
a year.
ex. My ex and I didn't say we loved each other for the first like 2 years, and then eventually she was like, "Can we please start saying I love you?" And I was like, "Sure."
Okay,
Because
but
there's
I
kind of
don't-
a commitment.
that's-
Once it's
I don't-
been said, once it's
Yeah.
been said, it
okay.
changes.
Shut
right?
up. Okay,
No,
I'm
we
talking
said
to
it,
him.
and I was like,
You're the
we said it, and
moderator.
I was like,
I
said
am the
don't wanna
moderator,
say-
but I want to say something. Okay, so
well,
so,
you're doubting my answer.
Destiny,
My answer
can
is
you
no.
put
I
her
don't
in line
need.
again. Come on.
I don't need
Nah,
her to tell
Stardust
me she
gotta
loves
assert
me.
dominance.
Okay. So again, I would maybe like look at how you see compliments and maybe think about what is the difference between how you view compliments and how I could potentially see somebody saying I love you, right?
The statement "I love you" is a statement about yourself. It is a statement about your own internal state. You are not evaluating somebody else's body when you say "I love you." You're not saying you're a lovable person. You're not saying you're a good girlfriend. You're not saying you're cool. You're saying this is how I feel. They're just different.
I think
It
it
doesn't-
has,
it doesn't-
I
it
think
doesn't
it has
introduce-
an aspect towards like self-viewing of something. It's the fact that the person that you are listening to saying that they love you is also an important factor.
Very, very, very satisfying, right?
Yeah,
But
or,
it doesn't
like,
it
be a
doesn't
freak out
introduce an
thing
ask.
if
There's
it's,
no
like,
praise.
you
It's not.
weren't, like,
It's not.
There,
aware
but
of
there
or ready
is
for
there's
it,
an
but
there's
it's in the
affirmation
relationship.
there. There's affirmation there. That
I'm not saying
a
there
lot
isn't
of
affirmation,
women.
but there's no praise. I think
Right.
women
Oh.
get addicted to praise.
Okay, a lot of
They
women
want a
still
man. They want to
need.
hear a nice low voice telling them you're a very.
A lot
pretty
of women
girl."
will
Almost
still
everybody
be
loves
very.
Instagram. It's called Instagram.
A lot of women.
I don't think they.
Shut up. Okay, a lot of women will still need their partner to continue to say I love you to them, whether that's like like once a week or like every day, something like that, because they still need that reassurance that their partner still loves them. Would you
I think
not
a lot
say
of women are emotionally crippled and require men telling them good things about themselves in order to function, but that doesn't mean that they actually like it or that it's good for them or that I want to participate in it.
Okay, so
I'm like, we got to put these bitches on detox. Stop complimenting Melina. Just don't do it. Just say no.
So are you gonna start? Are you gonna stop telling your girlfriend that you love her?
No, because I don't think there's anything underhanded or duplicitous.
She might be addicted to it.
I mean, yeah, maybe I should. But and like, it doesn't make me feel gross. I don't feel gross about the custom of people telling each other that they love each other. I do feel gross about the custom of compliments because it makes me feel like I'm like her dad or her teacher or her boss or something. I'm like, good job. You did so good. And like a lot of women want you to be their dad or teacher, their boss. And I'm like, I don't fucking want to, because ultimately
do you not compliment her just on her looks or like at all? Like if
I don't compliment her
she
about
like made
anything.
like a specifically like good like piece of art or something. I don't know what the fuck your girlfriend does.
No, she makes art. She's an artist. That's very good. When she draws something or she cooks something, when she shows it to me, I say, trial and error.
Oh.
How do you initiate any?
For Max, I agree with how you feel 100% because I feel the same way. If my partner
you don't agree with the projection.
No, yeah, they tell me they never love me for the rest of my life. I wouldn't give a fuck. I would assume you love me. You're still fucking with me, right? If you didn't love me, you fucking leave. That's how I view things. But I also understand that is a hyper autistic and unique way to view the world. But you seem to be projecting that personal view onto everybody else. I don't think that's how most people. Yeah. But I don't.
But isn't your worst nightmare being told by somebody that they love you when they don't?
No, actually, I never, ever care about what people say to me. I ignore what people say to me. I don't care if you tell me you love me. I look at your actions. That's the only thing I go by. Especially living in the streamer world, people tell me all sorts of stupid shit that I don't give a fuck about. I just see how your actions are. If you say other things,
everybody,
that's nice, but
you don't care what anybody says to you.
No, fuck no. If I did, I would have killed myself a long time.
When I get a compliment from my mom, I don't care because my mom is like genetically obligated to like compliment me no matter how much of a loser I am.
She's complimenting herself when she compliments you.
Oh my god.
Whatever, fine. But
it's true.
I've received compliments from other people in my life that, I think about it and I'm like, damn, there's no reason. I can't think of any reason they would have said that unless they actually meant it. And that actually changed my self-image. It doesn't happen often, but if people who don't just sort of dish out compliments all the time and don't do it in a self-serving way and don't like overdo it, people like that can occasionally say something, and when they do compliment me, it actually means something. You don't think that's even possible?
I think
or you
it's
just not
possible.
Consider that a compliment?
No, I think it's possible that someone can compliment you in a way that means something to you and changes your image of yourself. But I also think that there's probably another delivery mechanism for that sentiment that could also accomplish the same thing.
What if there isn't? Like, some of us are not so great at expressing.
Give me an example.
Expressing ourselves in those more subtle ways. So why not just say it, right?
Yeah, it could be that I'm looking for a level of intimacy and subtlety that would not work for everybody. That's true. I'm not saying you shouldn't compliment your girlfriend. I'm saying this is why I don't compliment my girlfriend, and that Destiny should stop too. That's all. That's just prescription for one other person. But other than that, you do what works for you.
Somebody
I can imagine that MrGirl is great at always like letting people know what you think of them through means other than compliments. But for the rest of us, it's not always so easy.
Give me an example.
I think I could understand what MrGirl is saying if it's like retained to the realm of like hollow compliments, things that you don't actually mean.
Yeah, hollow compliments.
Obviously,
I think that.
But I'm talking about stuff
be
you
like
do mean.
Way more damaging than you say, oh yeah, no, this looks really great, and then it turns out that it isn't. That kind of makes people doubt like every single fucking thing you said, and if they built any sort of like positive view of themselves from those compliments, they're gonna like second guess them, and it's gonna fucking
I got a lot of part of it is I got a lot of praise growing up. I had a lot of compliments from people who I eventually realized didn't give a shit about me, and it didn't none of it mattered. and then like trying to get grades and good grades. It's like none of that mattered. And then I see women as like fundamentally trying to stay children their whole lives, and they want you to give them a gold star, and that just feels like destructive and bad, and like that doesn't matter. It just feels, it all just feels like gross to me, and I just don't want to participate in it. I feel like the world would be a better place. Like, yes, I'm saying do whatever you want, but I feel like the world would be a better place if we learn to be warm to each other and make each other feel admired or beautiful or loved or whatever, without saying this is happening. Like, it's such a stupid declaration of like we're having a spark now. This is a romantic moment. You feel beautiful. It's like it's so hollow.
I think you don't understand women. Like, this is when men say like, but my girlfriend, you know, like she was having an issue, but she didn't tell me exactly what the issue was or exactly what she wanted me to do. She didn't, you know, it's like, that's not how women work, man. I mean, you're saying women are like toddlers.
If a genie came down and gave me a wish, I would wish to understand women less than I do. If I could poke out my third eye that only sees what women are feeling and thinking, I would rip it out of my fucking head.
I think
my name is MrGirl for a reason, buddy.
No, I don't think so. I think
I think you
are awful at perceiving the way that women feel, which might be why they don't like compliments from you. But hey, if you're willing to take a question, I got a question in one of my super chats directed towards you. So
before we go there, I want to give Bo Blacks a second here. Bo Blacks just joined.
Yeah, people in chat wanted me to join because I was talking shit in chat. Yeah, I mean, compliments let you know that you're impressed with the person in whatever aspect, and open communication is the cornerstone of socialization. I'm autistic and I know this. Are you stupid, MrGirl? Like, I know some people just don't understand. I know some people might not want compliments, and if your girlfriend doesn't want compliments or you don't want or Destiny doesn't want, that's fine, but every person's different. And I think my girlfriend appreciation and share that communication is important.
My girlfriend thinks she wants compliments, but she wants, let's put it this way. She wants them, but she doesn't need them. And I'm more interested in a relationship
you know what they want more than they do.
I know what they need.
What wouldn't she need? If you're in a serious relationship, wouldn't she need to know how you feel about her? Or like,
she knows how I feel about her without me. Oh wait, I'm not saying you shouldn't tell people how you feel about them. So saying I love you or saying I'm angry at you or I feel good or whatever is different from you are pretty. You did a good job.
Wait, you did a good job. That's a compliment.
Yes. Yeah, I'm saying that's different. That's an evaluation. I'm saying I don't make evaluations of my girlfriend. I do talk about my feelings all the time, though. So I'll tell her if I'm feeling good. I'm just saying I don't express it by telling her that she is good. I express it by telling her how I feel.
Well, if she does a good job on something that she's like working hard on, and you say "good job," like that's an important feedback to have, especially from
if she is working for me and. Yeah, if she's working for me, which sometimes she does, and I'm paying her, then I do evaluate her work.
Or maybe she does work for someone else, you know?
No, if she does work for somebody, if she does work for somebody else, then I say, what do you think? How do you feel about it? It doesn't matter what I think. Do they like it or do you like it or whatever? I'll support you, but I'm not here to evaluate what you did.
If you give feedback on her work and it's positive, that's a compliment.
I avoid doing that. I don't give feedback on her work.
If you genuinely think the work she did is good for someone else and you don't give that feedback, I don't think that's good. I think open communication. I know. I just say I'll fucking tell her to send it to you. I'm like ask anybody else what they think about this because I don't want to be involved. I don't want to be in this role. I will tell you I love you. I will tell you that if you like it, then that's great. I will listen to you complain about it and talk about your feelings about it. What if your intelligent feedback is important to her? Not just to make her feel good, but to like give her feedback on if she genuinely did a good job or not.
She can't. She usually just can't have it.
Oh, you're not willing to give that to her?
No, because it's so tainted by the fact that I'm her boyfriend. It's obviously more important to her that it's me saying it than it is that like some smart.
But what if she wants your feedback because of your intelligence, not because of strictly the relationship? I mean, I assume she thinks you're smart. So that are the reason she's with you, right?
I will say that is a situation where if it feels like a colleague talking to a colleague, I will very carefully I will never say you did a good job.
So a compliment is useful in that case. Compliments can be useful. So compliments are useful.
I will never compliment her. I'll say I'll say like, here's a suggestion. Here's what I would do if I were you. But
what if she did exactly what you would have done, and then you reaffirm her work?
Can you explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what being autistic means in terms of things being said explicitly or things being communicated very subtly through nonverbal cues?
Being autistic is basically that you have to learn social skills kind of manually, like through trial and error, rather than learn it naturally. So, for example, like, you would learn how to become a plumber by going to plumbing school. That you have to learn how to be social in a very manual way if you're autistic, typically.
Okay, so I think for an autistic person, compliments make more sense.
What do you mean?
I think it makes sense to use compliments as the sort of blunt tool that they are if you're autistic. I guess what I'm saying is I don't think the same communication style that I'm advocating for or demanding of my girlfriend will necessarily work for
neurotypical people can read other people's minds, essentially, and they don't need to verbally be reaffirmed.
I think he's saying that there's a little bit less utility with it as opposed to a person who's autistic, where like having it flat out said, yes, I believe that this is this with you, and like as a compliment. I think that like it can be a little bit different.
It could be a little different, but I still think...
I don't really require compliments, though. I'm self-confident enough to...
I guess I just don't... I don't think compliments build up your self-confidence. I've seen so many people... Like, how many times have we all met, like, the pretty girl who's gotten a billion compliments and doesn't think she's pretty? It's because it's not... This doesn't...
She wants attention. It's because she wants attention.
Compliments can be very...
You might be fishing for a compliment.
Yeah, she's fishing for him.
Compliments can be very useful if you're a person who doesn't get put down a lot,
I think compliments
when I was a kid, I was always told that I was doing like a shit job socializing, so if I got a compliment in terms of my socialization, that would extremely help my self-confidence.
You will probably never get more compliments than like being in a decent gym, I think.
Yeah, and it's good
gym
too
bros
because
are like the most
gym bros
fucking positive people ever.
And they suffer from body dysmorphia, and they understand that. Like, because you suffer from body dysmorphia.
We're getting some feedback from the females on the audience, and they're saying that you guys are fucking idiots because what these women want are well thought out compliments and not just your pretty compliments.
Exactly.
Rule number
literally just
about
advocated for not giving out hollow compliments.
Rule number one about this. Rule number one about this. Don't listen to women about what it's like to date women. Women give awful advice about this. It's like the worst. If you ask a woman what women want, they're awful on it.
It's like reading between the lines. It's like what Nick Fuentes would say about listening to Putin, okay? You listen to what Putin says he wants, not because he's actually telling you what he wants, but because based on what he says, you can tell what he wants. It should be the same with women.
I know that.
It should be the same with women. It's the same with men too, right? People lie about the shit they want all the time. Like, you'll find a ton of men who'll be like, oh, well, what do you value the most in the woman? And he'll say some shit like, well, I want her to be intelligent and good with kids. And in reality, he just wants some fucking 21-year-old chick with huge boobs and a big ass, right?
You're right.
Everybody fucking lies about what they want. That's not unique to women, okay? Everybody has the same fucking issues when it comes to that shit.
It's not even that they're lying. It's that they don't understand it. Like, women just don't understand what they want. They know what they want, but they can't.
But beyond that, they don't understand what they need.
Okay.
I swear to God,
I don't think
if there was ever
refusal to compliment and the theory that women don't actually need compliments at all for any sort of self-confidence boost, or men, is just autistic. It's stupid. It's just dumb. Compliments benefit some people. Some people they don't. Some people they do. It's a tool to be used.
I think it's a tool that should be used.
Just like
I think it's a tool that should be used very carefully, and it's a tool I don't use. And I think
great power.
What the hell, dude?
I think if you can't make the people around you or your loved ones feel loved or feel good about themselves, or if you can't communicate what you think of them without complimenting them, then there's something missing.
Yeah, there's
I
something
would agree, but Flamenco made that distinction between hollow compliments and genuine compliments, and people don't know how you feel about them unless you tell them beforehand. You're not gonna meet a woman, say I love you, never compliment them, and then they'll know I love you forever. You need to like build up like. I don't know. You need to share appreciation for each other, right?
You can talk about your feelings without complimenting somebody. I love you versus I love your big boobs, or whatever.
But if you say I love your intelligence, or you did something like really,
that's a compliment.
Cool, or you're really good at that, that's a compliment.
I would rather jump off a fucking bridge than say that to my girlfriend.
Wow. So true. Can we stop with this, like,
I mean,
maybe that contrarian conversation?
Maybe that works for you.
What do you think? Wait.
Maybe that works for you in your
listen
relationship.
to me, you little shit. Are you saying that you think I don't compliment my girlfriend so I can be contrarian in a fucking panel with you?
I think it's less that you're trying to be contrarian in the opinion. You're just bringing it up because you think this is the thing that'll make you interesting because the pedophile thing wore off. I think that's what it is. Like,
so
are
you suggesting that I should be a streamer and not try to be interesting? Is that your recipe for success? Or are you suggesting that if I'm interesting,
maybe be interesting.
Or are you suggesting alternatively, if people think it's interesting that you might be a pedophile, that I should talk about that forever?
Hello?
Look, this guy's got a real doll in his closet. He doesn't need this complimenting to be
True.
interesting.
Do you want to see do you guys want to see the doll or what?
Can you bring it out? Actually, can we see it?
Yeah. I'll show you the doll right now.
Really?
I think so. On YouTube, I think you like.
I'll show you. Okay, I'll show you.
Clothed?
The doll's in her underwear. I'll show you the doll's hand, though. You want to see the doll's hand?
Wait, hold on. Is the Trump or the Gorber dude, is he getting swatted?
Oh my god.
Oh shit.
Oh my god.
I thought he was holding his hands up because he was like mad.
Oh fuck.
Wait, shut the fuck up. Let's listen. Fuck, they stopped shouting. God damn it. Vivian got him. Okay, never mind. Go back.
Jeez.
I did hear somebody say, yelling, keep walking.
Yeah, he's getting swatted 100%. Unless he's got a friend like
Jesus fucking Christ.
His stream is down
Fucking hell,
on Cozy,
dude.
apparently.
Jeez.
That is horrible.
That's so bad.
Do you think if he gives the officer a compliment, he'll put a gun down, or?
God.
Oh. So we just literally watched him get walked out at gunpoint?
Yeah, I think so.
That is
He
so
had his
scary.
hands up.
Yeah, Kai got swatted. Holy shit.
I'm so glad that there's a ban on no-knock warrants where I live. It's your panel, Stardust. You have to figure out what to do now.
I don't know.
Well, not talking isn't going to make the cops go away, so what were we talking about? Where are we at, guys?
Compliments and MrGirl and Bo Black's the fucking hammer. Oh yeah,
yes,
we were
you're
gonna bring
show
up
us
the
the doll.
I can show you her hand because I don't want to
officers-
Do you name
don't show
the
the whole
doll,
body. The
or does the
officers
doll
might get
come with a
alarmed.
name?
The doll comes with the name Renee.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Get the real doll right up in front of the camera, so when the cops come back to the computer, they know he was in some real
Good
fucked
thing
up
Mr.
shit.
Girl isn't talking about pedo stuff right now, or he might be in trouble if the cops here.
Oh my god, that's so creepy. Why would you put it like that?
See?
Yeah, it looks like it's got like.
Oh
It
god.
looks like
yeah, I see it.
It's so creepy.
Look at this.
As long as it's clothed, I think you can show it. I think that's like
not clothed.
the
He said
litmus
it's not
test.
clothed.
Oh, it's not clothed. Okay, no.
No,
She's
ready
in
for action,
underwear.
dude.
Yeah.
Well, that girlfriend doesn't need compliments. Can't hear.
Oh, that is so creepy.
Yeah, it's a scary world out there. Holy shit.
Well, I think you should turn the camera away. Yeah, good job. Before the,
Call your local PDs, kids.
Can we keep her?
As long as she's not like showing like nipples or anything, I think you're fine.
It was very creepy.
I'm worried that a giant sex toy might break TOS. I think for streaming, there's like different TOS than for video.
There's some really weird people on YouTube, dude. I think you might be good. There are people on YouTube.
Quinn Reviews got away with having a sex doll in a video, and he's like a pretty big YouTuber, so I think you'll be fine.
Okay.
There's this YouTuber who like dresses up in like the inflatable things.
The what?
The inflatable, the beach thing. It's like his thing. He gets off to it. It's really
like an
weird.
inner tube.
I don't know. Like one of those, or something.
No, I don't think swatted can be viewed
Drama
as a
Alert is
chat.
in the chat and says being swatted is not an excuse to run away from a debate. So true.
I don't know about that one. I think it's like the only excuse. It's like, police got called and the SWAT team entered my house.
You stay there and argue or you lose.
Officer, okay, I am arguing with facts, logic, and reason here. Okay, we need to.
I'm not emotional.
Take a ticket there. Okay, gotta take a ticket there.
Hey, police officer, I'm arguing the age of consent with MrGirl.
Yeah, he's trying to uphold the law. He's trying to make new laws. This guy is so law-abiding. Did you hear him, Josh? Did you hear him say that if you write a erotic story that you should be charged with a crime?
That's a bit far.
I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Although I also think your opinions on that are a bit far.
What would you do if your girlfriend's view of like verbal and nonverbal communication differed significantly? Like, do you think she wants compliments or?
I think she wanted them at first. I think I've taught her the righteous ways. Oh, well, this is similar to me. I told you about this before, that she wanted me to call her my partner and use like non-binary language for her, and use a androgynous nickname for her. And I also refused. That was another situation where I was like, I know this is what you want, but I don't think it's what you need. I don't think this is like good for you, and I don't want to.
Gotcha.
Are there any of these like arguments that you've had with her that you've lost or you've had to concede ground on?
About communication?
Or just any of these sorts of things? Like you gave two examples, one of the compliments and one of the like, androgynous stuff. No gender argument with her that I've lost. Okay.
Because the way I was like, listen, I'll say whatever I want. You say whatever you want. You want to call me a girl or call me your girlfriend or call me your grandma. You can say whatever you want. But I'm not going to, you can't control how I talk about you. But she did, she said we shouldn't say we hate each other. And
that's
used to,
reasonable.
Yeah, we used to say I hate you when we get really mad at each other. When to me, I was like, in that moment, I do hate you. I do kind of hate her. And so I'm like, I want to talk about that. It's a feeling I have. I should be allowed to express it. And she was like, I think it's too destructive. And
did you,
I agreed with that.
Did you, when you were like going through all this, did you like kind of explain, by the way, I'm not like trying to be like cold emotionally. I don't believe in like giving out compliments like this.
I don't think I might come off as cold emotionally, like on stream maybe, but I don't think she's ever thought I was cold. I think it's been pretty clear since the start of our relationship that like she's the cold one, if one of us is cold, not me. So like I don't think I've like struggled to be warm with her. So I feel like I've been able to make up for it.
Should I disconnect Kai from the call?
Yeah, probably. He can reconnect it later if he gets back in.
Right.
Might be missing some good entertainment.
I'm worried about him.
I'm glad they didn't shoot him.
Yeah.
I hope that stays the same throughout the rest of the night. Holy shit.
I'm gonna disconnect him then if nobody
Yeah, disconnect him.
okay.
I feel like if you survive the first 10 seconds with the cops, then you're probably okay in this kind of situation.
They usually try to de-escalate the threat with like immediately cuffing you. So at that point, you're probably in good shape.
Jesus, they're probably searching his house for whatever the fuck the person said was happening there.
Yeah. They get like really fucking just nasty with their creativity, I've heard too.
My chat says that Kai has been swatted multiple times before and that he will be okay.
It blows my mind that someone gets swatted multiple times and the police don't do something to try to avoid that, right?
Yeah, you think there would be like a note, not
like
a kidnapper.
It's not like they can just completely ignore calls, but like do some sort of check. Like be a little bit careful if they know there's a guy who people are constantly swatting, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like when are the police going to catch up and deal with this, right?
After more and more people die, probably.
I feel like most police don't even know what swatting is.
It's probably going to have to be something on the federal level, and it's probably only going to come when like a good amount of people die.
I mean, some people have already died.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's got to be like there's going to be more. Like it takes, one death. It takes more, I think, before lawmakers can be asked to like inform themselves. What the fuck is a live stream? Why are people swatting people? I don't get this.
Yeah.
Like when is the
Destiny? I think what you're getting at is similar to the gender pronouns thing of like. So let's say that my girlfriend and I have a true impasse. I can't bring her around to my side. A true impasse where she needs to be complimented and I need to not compliment her. And the same thing with gender. So like you want me to say your pronouns and I for some reason need to not say your pronouns. I feel like that win should go to the person who's the speaker and just say like you can't make me say that. I guess that's how I perceive that.
Gotcha.
I don't think you should be forced to compliment. Like, I don't think it's fair to demand that your partner compliment you. But
one of you is going to have to cede, like, ground.
But if you have a genuine like good thought about the person, like that you see something that didn't, you're like, wow, good job or whatever, or you haven't or something like that, and you withhold that information, like why would you withhold that information?
Because I don't want to be her parent. I don't want to feel like I'm in the role of her evaluator. I really don't like it.
Okay, listen.
I'm with you in that if my partner was asking for compliments, I wouldn't give them. I would not. I would not respond to like mandatory.
Sorry,
I'm not like asking for them, but if you
everybody shut up.
I love you. It's been fun. Stay safe.
Thanks for coming. Have a good one.
Bye.
I love you guys.
Nice.
He's a great guy.
Sorry, I didn't hear. My bad.
It's been pretty nice.
He's so smart and intelligent. And
stop complimenting.
Oh God! Okay.
Now you've been living by your own fucking thing.
He's a great guy. What do you want me to say? I love him. He's
he
an
knows
amazing.
That you're not coming on to him because you don't believe in giving compliments like that.
Unbelievable.
Wait, do you give compliments when you're trying to like flirt with girls?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Oh, so you're the negging type.
No, I don't fucking insult girls when I am flirting with them.
You give them a backhanded compliment.
Personally,
you're really nice looking for a fat girl.
Going, in my opinion.
Personally, just for me, I just stay open and honest with like communication with anybody. If I feel like they did a good job on something and a natural compliment just comes out of my mouth during a sentence or whatever without me like thinking too hard about it, me just like saying my thoughts, I'll say it. I'm not gonna like purposely withhold it and think like, oh, if they get too many compliments, they're gonna get an ego and they're gonna this and the other thing. Like I'm just open and honest and be myself. So that's how I approach it. Maybe other people are different. It seems to work, I guess, with MrGirl's relationship. But the fact that MrGirl is saying like, oh, Destiny shouldn't compliment Melina. Nobody should compliment their girlfriend. It's just like everyone's different, dude. Like, I don't know. Like, just because it works for you doesn't mean it's the universal best choice.
It seems like it doesn't work for him. I mean, that's what I mean. Like,
I don't know enough about the relationship. So.
I don't know either. I just feel like once he starts screaming at me about my approach, I feel like I can scream at him about his. I feel like he opened the door. And it's just like if he feels
Fair
the same
game
way
if
as
you
me.
sort of-
Okay, we clearly he and I both feel the same way about compliments, and so I don't think he has the same thoughts as me, but the same emotions as me. So I'm like, what? Like I don't know. I just am like, just don't do it.
But do you genuinely think it's like a bad idea for people in general, like just general advice, to not compliment your significant other or anybody?
I guess my general advice would be don't rely on compliments. I think that it's really important to show behaviorally that you love your partner and show them what you think of them. And instead of when you compliment them, it's sort of a manipulative thing where you're telling them what to believe you think of them. And so I guess I would say be careful you're not relying on it. That would be my general advice.
I would agree with that. I feel like there's nuance to every situation. It isn't just like, don't compliment or do compliment, but it is an interesting discussion to have. But I think like you just saying like flat out, don't compliment anyone or whatever. You seem to just have
give
like
me
these
some super
extreme ways of
chats.
saying things. And
Sure. Okay. I'm not trying to
Okay.
say that no one else should ever compliment each other. I guess here's my more medium way of saying it. I never do. The reason I never do is I feel like, especially with women, there's a weird thing where women want you to parent them and want you to give them a gold star. I don't think it's healthy for women. I don't think it's healthy for the relationship. And I think generally my advice would be just think about like if that's happening to you. And if you
I think we should go around and all of us will give Mr. Girl a compliment.
Please don't.
Oh, I'm not doing that.
Well, I guess if Josh has to.
You
No,
have a very
we should do.
relaxing.
I'm not gonna
voice.
lie. I can't
thank
lie.
you.
I have.
Thank you.
If anybody had like a job where you had to do like mandatory sort of peer evaluation and write
Yeah, it's
like a
fucking
form.
horrible.
No,
Yeah.
only in fucking class settings, and I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
You get a form and it's like literally, here's 2 of your coworkers. You must write something good, something bad about them on this form, and then it will be shown
Hey,
to
it's
them.
Kai. Kai's coming back.
Oh, welcome back, Kai.
Hey,
Welcome
Did you
back.
get swatted?
back. No, mom called.
Really?
Wait,
Wow.
really?
Yeah.
You walked out with your hands up because your mom called?
Yeah. Dude, you don't know what my mom would do to me, man.
Uh oh.
Jeez, dude.
She comes out with the chanclas, part Hispanic. No, that's a joke.
Wait,
I'm not Hispanic.
are you joking? What really happened?
My mom called me. Do I need to tell you about what my mom called me about?
Okay, here's my question. You took your headphones off and walked away with your hands up. What did that gesture mean?
Well, I have to take off my headphones to get outside, and I put my hands up as a gesture that I was coming because she was yelling.
I get it. I get it. I think we all get it.
I don't know. Mr. Girl doesn't really understand women much. So maybe there's like a mother relationship there. I don't know.
No, I don't have a relationship with my mother.
Well, that's or lack of. I should specify. My bad.
Oh,
Give
okay.
him enough
Well, you said
compliments.
then yes. Wait, you're saying your mother called and then she was outside and she was yelling?
All right,
and
this
she
is
said-
like a more boring conversation than the one we were on before.
Okay,
so-
now what I want to ask is, I want to ask Bo Blacks. Bo Blacks, how was the Sonic movie?
It was good. There's some people online who are really. I just watched a like 50-minute video from a YouTuber called Arlo about how much he hated the movie, and I'm like, Jesus, dude. It's just Sonic. I don't know.
I'm happy
it's fun.
that the game is or that the movie is there, because with like the whole fiasco about the original, like it really puts it in perspective. Like that movie never happened.
Yeah, and everybody, and it probably wouldn't have done well as well, even if it was the same movie, the same first movie with like the different design. I don't think it would have done as well, and I'm glad that like the series is getting some momentum now, because it was kind of like a dead meme for like the longest time, and I think the characters are cool. So
True and real.
What are you talking about?
Mr. Girl, what's your opinion on Sonic?
He's a big Sonic fan. He draws pictures of Sonic.
I bet he loves Amy.
He's got this necklace of Sonic.
Yeah, I mean, Amy's
Striped
12. He
shirt.
probably thinks Amy's a hot 12-year-old hedgehog.
Okay,
You gotta stay away from
I didn't say I'm
necklaces and
attracted to
Sonic
all
stuff on it.
12-year-olds, so let's not say I'm a weirdo.
Sonic paraphernalia
all 12
necklaces
If
do
you're
not
attracted to
go
any
together.
12-year-old.
Not all 12-year-olds.
Okay, wow.
Hashtag
Only
not all
some,
photos.
only the hot ones. The hot
Exactly.
ones, quote,
Thank
unquote.
you for defending me.
Quote
Oh
unquote.
God. Oh
As if
God.
there's any, if you think a 12-year-old's hot in any capacity,
Wait, let me answer. I only saw the first Sonic movie. I remember it being
super chat.
I remember it being surprisingly good, but still not that good. Is the second one like that?
it's pretty good. It's more action oriented.
Okay. Yeah, the first one's like a buddy relationship.
Yeah. Movie. The second one is more with like all of the Sonic characters together and less of the human stuff. It's pretty fun.
Is Jim Carrey good?
Yeah, of course. It was so weird watching it because it was filmed in Vancouver, so like I know the streets that like Sonic's running down, so it's kind of like
that's like
cool.
The third most popular city area to like film like anything in. I think. It's
yeah,
like
I see Vancouver like in a lot of films.
Yeah, TV too, and Georgia too.
And then they pretend it's the U.S. It's like Seattle, and then like a
Yeah.
shot of Vancouver. I'm just like, okay.
And you're just like, nah,
Nice.
this is bullshit. This is bullshit. I don't buy it.
Okay, just gonna read a couple of super chats here. I don't know if I should read this one out loud. It seems like a psychoanalysis of MrGirl. So maybe I won't read that one out loud, actually.
I think he's gonna want you to now at this point.
No.
I've got a question
No.
for Bo Black.
I trust Stardust. If I had to know that if I don't want to deal with it, she's probably right.
I have a question for Bo Blacks. The
Go
chat
ahead.
asked me. Can you rap the BLM song?
Oh,
I don't know what
God.
that is, but
you have to look it up. You have to look it up. You have to look it up.
No, I
There's
can't.
a good remix of it.
They
too
only
on,
donated $3, so if you would have done it, I kind of would have been upset. They need to donate a lot more for that.
Yeah, a lot more. Yeah.
There's a good remix on Tommy Shot from the Points channel that you should
I don't
definitely
think Stardust would
play
appreciate me singing
afterwards.
that on the stream.
Okay,
No.
MrGirl is definitely a top tier negger. You know, like negging.
No, I don't neg women.
Negging.
I'm saying that like
Bruh.
you can flirt with a woman without guys, come on. You can say I want to fuck you. That's not a compliment. You can flirt with a woman or express a sexual interest in a woman without making statements about her body. I would suggest that you do so. I think it works.
Well, I
works
don't think that's
better.
what negging is. I think negging is like kind of.
It's like backhanded compliments. It's like saying you're
compliments are like backhanded compliments are like, oh, I love your shirt. It's so great. Like, what dumpster did you get it from, or something like that. Whereas like negging more entails you're slightly teasing the girl too.
But you're refusing
it's more like
you're refusing to make her feel good. It's you're conditioning her to want your approval.
you're
It's the
insulting
exact
her
op-
while
it's the
complimenting
exact-
her.
it's the
You're
exact
pretty cute
opposite.
for a fat girl. It's like top tier negging, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but then it makes her want your approval, so then she's like eats out of your hand. But it's the exact
Yeah.
opposite. I would say I don't condition women to want compliments from me. I condition them to realize immediately that they're never ever going to get compliments from me. They have to just let it go and find a different way to connect to me. And I'm
Somebody
very
paid-
available in those other ways.
somebody paid $5 to say, "Okay, I hate YouTube." So
Me too, bro. So true.
It could be
I
worse.
condition women to realize that they'll only get a compliment on their birthday once a year. And that keeps them around.
does that work?
Yeah.
I just try to be nice in relationships. Like whenever I get a chance to do something that's a little nice, hey, this thing, it looks really good on you, or something like that. I think that doesn't really cost anything to be a little nice to people every once in a while, and
Costs everything.
it makes them feel good. I don't think so. I think everybody can really kind of ride a nice little unexpected compliment for the rest of the day if it's a genuinely meant one. I think if you're just saying things to like placate people, that's a little weird.
I mean, when they know that they'll never get a compliment from you, then when you actually give them one, they're like, oh my God.
Well, then they also know you're a liar.
You must-
See, that's,
he's
women,
definitely not
women
lying.
crave consistency. They
I if I complimented Shaylin now, it would be intensely upsetting to her. I think it would feel like a betrayal because I think that there's been a lot of freedom for her in starting out. She was very like felt very objectified, I think, by people she dated or just by life in general. So I think it was very important for her and made her feel safe with me, even though I would refuse to scratch the itch of compliment. I think it also made her feel like she could be more herself, knowing that I was never going to say you look nice or you're supposed to look nice.
Yeah, it's important. With compliments, like, it's important to not rely too hard on compliments just based on someone's looks, and rather definitely. Like compliment and let them know you appreciate them as a person. So you compliment like aspects of themselves, of who they are as a person, like their personality or like their like talents or what have you.
Yeah, and I think
I genuinely think the other aspect of this is, and it might be like the way that men are conditioned to some extent. I think that there might be like some conditioning against, like, you know, especially if the whole, oh, you're complimenting a guy on his appearance. What are you, gay? I think that there's I think that people should give compliments to their guy friends every once in a while.
Yeah, I have a question for you guys.
I don't think they get that a lot.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Kai included. Okay. Tits, ass, or black people?
Black people.
Get it? Because like the last one doesn't fit in there.
I'm a boob guy myself.
I'm gonna go
It's
with
a false
black
dichotomy.
people.
It's a false dichotomy. Thighs.
Ooh, yeah. Kai's got a point. I
don't know if I want you to agree with me about my sexual preference, Flamenco. I don't know.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Listen.
You should be in jail.
I've been open and honest. I used to be a little degenerate. I've curbed that quite a bit, I think, so far.
You haven't.
No, I think I have.
You got to feed the beast, buddy. It's okay.
Nah, I'm good.
One of my chatters wants to know if anyone on the panel feels weird about compliments from their fans the way I do. How do you guys feel about compliments from your fans?
I really appreciate it. I'm very grateful to have anybody listening to me.
I think
I'll listen to them.
My fans have learned to not compliment me in a way that's like super objectifying, and they give it very sparingly to me. Usually they'll say that I'm like funny or that I'm smart, like first before they say anything about my looks. So
maybe MrGirl is right about the whole like lying and the compliments. Yeah. Actually, though, Stardust, you make a point. Like you see this all the time, like on TikTok, where fat women will get like thousands of compliments about like, you're so beautiful, you're so pretty, and then pretty women will like, get berated. I think this is more of an insult than anything else. So maybe MrGirl is onto something.
Well,
the
no,
compliments are indicative of actual like what does Ted Kaczynski say? The feelings of inferiority, the over socialization.
I like it when my female audience members compliment me. I think a compliment like my looks, then I think I appreciate it more from them. I don't know, but also I think my audience has just learned to not really compliment me in a way that's gonna make me feel kind of gross about myself. So yeah.
When men compliment you, feel like they are doing it for their own indulgence.
Sometimes it really depends. Yeah.
But with women, you don't feel that way.
Yeah.
So it's more believable.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I can count my fans on one hand, but when I get compliments from them, sure.
I was one of your fans last username. I was one of your fans.
And I love it when you compliment me.
Well.
But don't overdo it.
Yeah. Last username is a very smart person, so you guys check him out. Yeah.
There was this question from the super chats that I wanted to ask MrGirl earlier.
Go ahead.
So we had a question. Let me find it again. It's a little bit down here. It says, "Can you ask MrGirl about his relationship with his Jewish mother and Jewish women in particular?
Does he see a problem with Jewish women and their attitude / the way they act, or / way they act, and maybe how this leads to so many gay Jewish men?
My mother's not Jewish. So I hate to disappoint you. But can I opine on Jewish women and gay Jewish and gay men?
I would love so.
Yeah, what's the stereotype? Jewish women are very overbearing and controlling, and so then you just become gay to get away from them. I think that I think sexual orientation broadly could be driven by an aversion to one sex, an attraction to one sex. You could be straight because you're afraid. I could be straight because I'm afraid of men. I could be gay because I'm afraid of women, or I'm attracted. I think there's a push-pull of repulsion and attraction or aversion, and it all gets mixed up together. So yeah, I think if you have an extremely overbearing parent of one gender, it could make you gay or make you straight. I don't know.
Thank you for your thoughts.
You're welcome. Thank you for your cheap race baiting.
What? That wasn't even my question. That was a super chatter. Unless you're addressing them. In which case,
no. I think if whatever you pass, tell me. Trust me, my chat's saying some things about you that I've decided not to pass on to you, because if I said it, it would be like I was saying it. Stardust is laughing because she's probably.
Well, that's why I prefaced by saying we have a super chat, and I read it verbatim.
Yes, I understand that you're prefacing it in a way that makes it sound like you're not saying it, but as a rhetorical tactic, that's actually not that effective.
So if is your argument basically that I pick and choose what people super chat to ask you? Because I would ask you any question that people super chatted, and I prefaced it by saying you can answer if you'd like.
No, my argument is that if you say something, you should own it.
Somebody just super chatted me to tell me that my boobs look intelligent. So
okay, well,
I just wanted to let you guys know.
Appreciate that. If I do say something, I will own it. I'd be happy to.
Okay, I guess we have different definitions.
I think it's just to incentivize the super chats.
Yeah,
like hey, if you send your super chat, I'm gonna read it. I'm not necessarily gonna co-sign it. I'm just gonna be like, hey, and if you don't want to answer it, that's all good.
I think the problem with you lefty types is you think it's like everybody's hiding their power level and this and that. It's like we're happy to own the stuff we say.
Oh, MrGirl isn't a lefty, I don't think.
Relative to me, I'd say
I don't know.
So.
Well, anyways, like I said, I'm reading the super chat. Right after I said my chat doesn't objectify me, somebody said your boobs look really intelligent today. So just figured it.
Is that objectifying? I don't like. What do intelligent boobs look like?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
The opposite of
like,
objectifying.
man, if somebody has intelligent boobs, please.
Yeah, yeah. Show me what intelligent boobs look like. I'm a visual learner, by the way.
Listen. I'm a hands-on learner. I'm a hands-on learner. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Dude,
if anyone has intelligent boobs,
you started this. You read it.
Okay.
I need to see what they look like.
I'm just leaning into it.
All right.
I'm just getting over it.
All right, I gotta go now.
Thanks for joining, Boblax.
Me coming on was satisfying.
It was.
The chat and everybody.
Boblax, you are the fucking broad sledgehammer. You just come in and you fucking wail away, and you're gonna get your fucking things said, regardless of whatever people have.
Yeah, I've had good training on after. I have this tendency to try interrupt because I'm always on AugRC after hours and they talk a lot. It's almost impossible to get a word in, so sometimes that carries over, and I apologize if I accidentally interrupted when Destiny was leaving or what have you. But yeah, thanks for having me on, and I hope everyone has a good day except MrGirl, lol.
Damn.
Sorry, MrGirl.
By the way, MrGirl, we had a follow-up with a super chat from R. Henry who says, I sent the super chat to MrGirl for Kai to read. I have a Jewish mother and have had very, very, very bad experiences with Jewish women. F you, gay F word, MrGirl, retard.
Again, the
MrGirl.
Smug glee with which you read that. And then
that one I felt delighted reading because I thought it was a funny conclusion.
I don't think that you're an R word, MrGirl, okay?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Say it, Stardust. He's a what?
I don't think.
You don't think he's a what?
I don't think.
What word?
It's funnier for me to say R word than it is for me to say the actual word.
That's how I feel about the N word and the hard R versus A. Like, I think people who still like find pleasure in like, oh, I'm really edgy, I say the like N-word with like the ER, like I hate that. I find it repulsive now.
Stardust.
Yes.
Is there anything else we're talking about?
I don't think so. Thank you guys for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe and check out the wonderful panelists we have here. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm doing this every Sunday, and maybe next Sunday I'll put maybe 1 or 2 more people and get it a little bit more,
Yeah, we want it more chaotic. We want more yelling.
We want more yelling.
I'm not a mean guy. I don't like yelling. I don't like that whole game, the whole yelling thing.
Well,
yeah, but that's what the audience
wait, is that what our takeaway from this? That you're not a mean guy?
Yeah, I'm not a mean guy. I don't think I'm a mean guy.
You think you're nice?
I try to be.
I think you are very.
I don't think you've done a really good job of that.
Well, I think most of that's because I think you were attaching animosity towards me where there wasn't. But I think even you, MrGirl, I don't think I've treated you particularly poorly. I've thrown a few jabs, but nothing that I think you could chalk up to like a true animosity. I do have animosity for some of the things you believe, though, and some of the things you say. But I care for you. I pray for you. I hope you come to Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know it's difficult to comprehend that, but I do want.
Is there anybody
you
you don't pray for?
No, I try to pray for everybody. I'll say that there are plenty of people I don't pray for, but it would be dishonest of me to say I pray for everybody.
Okay, listen, you've not come across as the nicest, most courteous, friendly, good faith dude ever in this conversation. But
then I'll try to do better next.
But I will pray for you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, Dusty. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me, MrGirl. I appreciate your presence.
Nice to meet you. Last username.
Likewise.
Flamenco.
Yep. Hey.
My man. All right. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining me. I greatly appreciate it. So,
Thanks for having.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little like type A with like, are you gonna come? Are you gonna show up and all that? And also, I was not expecting FabianLiberty to freak out and leave. So
it's such a type.
I wasn't expecting that.
Such a type A moment, right?
It was kind of disappointing.
Moment.
I felt kind of bad for it. I felt kind of bad about it, but
like, did you tell him like who was coming on, or
no?
I
figured it would be like a surprise, but I didn't realize that my surprise was gonna be
surprise. There's poop in your birthday cake.
Well, no, like... I mean, I didn't think my surprise was gonna have that type of reaction. I didn't realize, and so
I think that
maybe I should realize that
probably
next time. So
yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
You should have stuck it out, though. I don't think it was bad at all.
Yeah, it was.
I'm surprised that was like the straw. Fabian was like, no. It's like, I'm very surprised the libertarian, the ANCAP was.
Well, he's an ANCAP, so he's got to distance himself from like even the mere assertion that. Yeah, exactly. Because libertarian.
I mean, I'm an ANCAP, and I'm a big MrGirl fan. And I defended Lollicon in this debate, so there you go. Not all ANCAPs are.
Whoa!
I don't even think it's an ANCAP thing. I think it's just an anarchist thing in general. There's like something with wanting the removal of the state, and then like, oh yeah, this means that we can just do whatever the fuck we want with certain people, you know.
I gotta be careful with like who I just didn't realize that he felt that strongly. So yeah, I'll just be careful.
Silly.
With
it didn't seem it's a very un-anarchist thing to like refuse to talk to someone. That's
I don't think so.
Pretty extreme.
I don't think so.
No, freedom of association
that's
is like a 100% libertarian thing. Yeah,
like Hoppianism.
It's free speech.
MrGirl would be forcefully removed.
Right? You know,
MrGirl would be forcefully removed from whatever society. Supposedly, I don't know.
Yeah,
but anyway, yeah, I think we'll leave you guys. You guys have a good one. Bye. Bye.
Later.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys again for joining.
Thanks, Dusty.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Last username. If you, thank you, Flamenco, for joining.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I hope you
listen.
had fun.
Listen. Anything after this fucking week, I don't fucking care. Lol.
You got through it, dude. You got through it, and
Yeah, I think so.
I would just say, you know, there are a lot more. There are people with like who are way more degenerate in their current states, so I don't think you need to worry about you know, the relative.
I guess it also probably helps that I never really try to like pass myself off as like a, you know, oh, I'm super trad. I've never seen a naked woman before type person. Yeah. It's just gonna be a thing. Ralph's gonna holler a little bit more. I think that I've handled it the way that you're supposed to handle it to minimize the just insane fucking chimping out about it. So
yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, I just gotta say I rebuke it and Christ is King and all that with that. That's how a Ralph male does it. So I need to learn from a real Ralph male.
Yeah. Definitely. You know.
And Bo Blacks, of course, as always, was a pleasure to chat with.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise as well. So.
Yeah, I like that guy. He's a good dude.
Yeah. Chat if you have any feedback. Most of us
just find it funny, Flam. Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah, I think most people just find it funny. If anything, you're probably more relatable to a lot of people who are your audience. So.
Well, I mean, I don't know about relatable. I think it's I think this is like an embarrassing moment that everyone really hopes they never fucking emulate. But yeah, it's a more humanizing moment.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have a good night on Stardust thing. YouTube.com/FlamencoTV.
Yes.
I've got like a weird World of Warcraft drama to cover tomorrow, which looks like it'll be fun. It's got like a lot of moving pieces and a lot of hypocritical people. So.
Oh wow, that's exciting.
All right. Well, good night, Stardust.
Yeah, chat, please go check out Flamenco. Also, please go check out Last Username. Links are in the description. I'll put other people's links in the description as I get them as well. So, yeah.
Later, Stardust.
See ya.